fiecare conectare aduce noi oportunități. Electronica este inima tehnologiei, pulsul schimbărilor din viața noastră. Mai mult de 210 companii din industria electronică din Republica Moldova dezvoltă elemente hardware și software, creează sisteme incorporate, proiectează și produc componente și dispozitive electronice, stăpânesc producția de electronică și microelectronică, nanosenzori, cât și alte tehnologii inovatoare. 6 instituții de învățământ din țară instruiesc astăzi specialiști, tehnicieni, ingineri și cercetători în domeniul electronicii care mâine vor schimba lumea. Electronica. Creăm împreună viitorul.
Stimată audiență, dragi oaspeți, bună dimineața și bine v-am...
Dear audience, guests, welcome to the first edition of Embedded Moldova Conference. My name is Elena Maevski and I'm happy to see you today to the first event dedicated to embedded. This event is organized by the Association of Electronics Companies in Moldova in partnership with the Agency for Investments together with the project Strong Communities implemented by GISM Moldova. Embedded Moldova Conference is the first embedded conference from Moldova that has the aim to bring together those interested in engineering to have an open dialogue on the development opportunities and the integration of the tech community in the global value chain. We will discuss about embedded systems for bioengineering, IoT, smart home, and automatic industrial automatization. This whole day is dedicated to the embedded area in Moldova and its link to the local industry. This way we can build engineering skills in the Republic of Moldova. We also focus on the development of future talents to meet the demand for qualified staff in this area. We, the organizers and the partners of the event, want to send a message that engineering and technical education, as well as improving business infrastructure for engineering companies and R&D companies, are a high priority in Moldova. Dear guests, we encourage dialogue and we have a few good occasions for networking so that we can be closer to our speakers. It's very important that this edition will open the discussion about a topic that has not been discussed widely. We have a panel on bioengineering and the challenges that this sector is facing in the Republic of Moldova. I am closing here and I would like to thank everyone for coming to the first edition of Embedded Moldova Conference. And after my welcoming speech, I would like to invite here for an opening speech the State Secretary from the Ministry of Economic Development and Digitalization, Catalina Plinschi. Madam State Secretary, please. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to speak at the first Moldova Embedded Conference. I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm sure that today's dialogues, workshops will help in setting a vision for the future in this area. Moldova is in a period of significant growth of IT sector. This is shown by statistics, but also by the contribution to the GDP, by the state of the society, which is highly oriented towards digitalization of the public and the private sector. You know that digitalization is one of the priorities of the government of the Republic of Moldova. We have ambitious objectives by the end of this decade, by 2030, and one of the main objectives is the digitalization of public services. Currently, we have 59% of public services for entrepreneurs available electronically, and approximately 50% of the public services for citizens electronically available. We would like to have 100% by 2030, and 100% for businesses by the end of 2024. The interaction of between the citizens and the state should be 100% digital, and this will be possible through the launch of EVO application. This will be in the Moldova Digital Summit, and I invite you there to test the EVO application, which is a modular one, and it offers access for citizens and entrepreneurs to public services through one click in one app in your pocket. Digitalization is helping fight against corruption, increase transparency, and this will lead to a free market, healthy competition. Also, the government is reviewing the commercial regulation and is simplifying the process to eliminate useless stages through the packages for lowering the level of bureaucratization. We have had 5 such packages so far. This helps companies focus on their main activities, doing business. We've had at least 2 important reforms for the business environment and investors in IT. The 0% tax for reinvested profit and the reform of the limited liability companies. This offers the possibility for companies to compete fairly. We should also mention the success story of Moldova Technology Innovation Park. This is a regional hub for companies in IT. Madam Bzovii will tell you more about the achievements of the IT park. But I would like to say that we have more than 1,700 companies and more than 20,000 qualified persons in the park, and this contributes with 6.7% of GDP estimated for 2023. This shows the economic impact that is rising for the technological sector. The simplicity of the tax rules is making it attractive, and these provisions have been prolonged until 2025. The fact that Moldova has received the status of candidate state for EU has allowed us to access Digital Europe programs. And I would like to invite all of you to contact the national contact centers. This has more than 7 billion euros available for digitalization, for entrepreneurs, public institutions, organizations, and so on from the Republic of Moldova. We have a lot of reasons to be proud of, but we still have to work a lot. The government and the private sector need to collaborate to increase investment in research and development. This is essential to promote innovation and to develop a solid framework of knowledge for the long-term development of the technological sector. Qualified labor force is essential. Encouraging students to get education in STEM is also very important, to have professionals in the area of technology. Also, we need to focus our efforts to transform the national industry. We have more than 17% of the population that can work in this industry. This needs to be transformed in an industry that produces high added value that will help us be competitive on the global market. By addressing these issues, these challenges, and by furthering our collaboration between the public and private sector, we will manage to reorient the national economy towards one that exports goods and services with high added value. Thank you, and I wish you a productive and efficient dialogue today. I am interested to see the results of today's dialogue, and I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation and for the possibility to have this speech. Thank you very much, and we appreciate as a sector the availability of the government to help improve the business environment. Now I would like to invite Mr. Andrei Stratulat, a National Program Officer, Economic Development and Employment, Swiss Cooperation Office, Interpark of Moldova. Ladies and gentlemen, as I am responsible for economic development projects in SDC, together with other collaborators, I was used to working with other sectors than the one represented here today. I was pleasantly surprised, and I am proud that when I was hired in the cooperation office, I found out that Switzerland, together with Germany, have offered continuous support to electronics from the start of ACEM in 2019 and throughout the further institutional development. I would like to congratulate ACEM for its 5th anniversary. Throughout these 5 years, it was a catalyst in strengthening the electronics industry and an efficient partner for the dialogue with public authorities. The areas where it was present are very topical, and it targeted not only economic growth and the well-being of those working in this system, but also aspects related to the environment, urban mobility, energy efficiency. These are problems that are very important for the whole society. I'm very happy to find out about the success that Moldova has in the development of the IT industry and ecosystem. Electronics, as one of the priority sectors that has a promising potential for development, is connected with embedded programming, engineering, research and development systems. The cooperation between the representatives of the national and international industry, the integration of engineering services providers is generating innovating solutions in different applications. We all know the geopolitical situation, the development tendency, the opening of the accession negotiations for the EU, the sign of the free trade agreement with EFTA countries, where Switzerland is also part of, together with Norway, Liechtenstein, and Luxembourg. The tensions at the regional and global level, their consequences are bringing new opportunities and challenges for the players in Moldovan industry. We can see that Moldova is working tirelessly to improving its capacities and improving its products and services. Switzerland is offering technical assistance through the colleagues from GIZ, for the Invest Moldova agency, for the organization of the development of entrepreneurship, in order to promote new investments and enhance the capacities of the vocational educational institutions. I'll give you some examples. As I said, the establishment of the association was supported in 2019, and we are continuing to offer this support in a project implemented through GIZ, financed by the government of Switzerland and Germany. Also, this program facilitated collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Moldova on the identification and founding of dual education institutions. Maybe this is an early stage, but we are already working with the colleagues from Germany to expanding the financing and the term for this program. We are also involved in supporting the industry together with national partners, ODA, MIA, to promote industry within international events. The members of the associations have permanent support to integrate in the global value chains. We have already mentioned the efforts of the government, the improvement of the legal framework, like Law 74 on the IT park in Moldova. We also congratulate the initiative of ACEM to develop the capacities of the institutions from the professional educational system. The career fair in engineering brings together young people from Soroca, Balți, and Chișinău for career development opportunities. I am happy to see the synergies of the associations to promote embedded programming by organizing this hackathon. This is very important in creating a sustainable ecosystem. In the end, I would like to thank ACEM, Invest Moldova agency, the partners from the public and private sector for organizing this event, for the enthusiasm in promoting the electronics industry and embedded software. I would like to greet all participants and wish you success in the conference and in achieving your objectives. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Stratulat. We, with the support of, appreciate the support of SDC and GIZ for promoting the electronics locally and internationally. Now I would like to invite Mr. Viorel Bostan, the Rector of the Technical University of Moldova, who will discuss about the promotion of young talents from the very beginning when they are initiated in the technical area. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be here today. First of all, I would like to thank ACEM for the fact that it exists. I've been discussing with Vyacheslav because he has a very important role in our university. He is part of the Strategic Institutional Development Council, and I would give as an example the fruitful fruitful example of the activity of the association from IT sector, and we were saying that we should have an association that would promote and lobby the interests of this very important sector, a sector where Moldova has registered success in the past. And I'm happy that now ACEM is growing. It is a very important partner of our university. And as a proof, you can see that 3 persons from the university are representing our interest in this very important body. Another example of the success of ACEM are the annual events it organizes so that we can discuss about the challenges that the sector is facing and about what we need to do to grow. This also helps us develop new partnerships between education and the industry. For us, it's important to have a strong industry because it will hire the end product, if I may use this metaphor of a university. And if there's no consumer, then we need to ask ourselves what is our purpose. And for the industry, the presence of a strong university is a guarantee that the employees will be well trained and they will deliver from the first days added value to the company. In other words, we have a very important synergy. And I would like to restate in this very important forum that the Technical University is open to any type of collaborations. We have great examples. We need labs, we need places available for internships for students. We need collaborations in the area of research, development, innovation. We can collaborate within different projects for technological transfer, innovation, or applied research. And I can assure you that the Technical University will always be open for collaborations. We are not waiting for the industry to come to us. We are also trying to attract financing from development partners. And now we are implementing a very important project with the World Bank for higher education. And in these 2 years, we'll also have 2 other years. We will have a budget of 5.5 million euro. Of course, we need to cover different areas of engineering now, also from agriculture and veterinary medicine. But we will have a few labs on applied electronics, which is very important. We have a good collaboration with USAID through the different projects that this organization is implementing. A few months ago, we received a great lab for power electronics and electrical vehicle. We won a cross-border project, and we have many other examples of this type. We also appreciate the great projects that we have implemented or we will implement with certain companies from ACEM. I repeat, we are open for collaboration, and for us, the co-financing part was also very important always. So in each project, we brought our own efforts, our own resources, so that the project has high value. I would like to wish you a great activity within this conference. I understand this is the first conference on embedded systems organized in Moldova. I suggested to Mr. Sukcevic that the next edition could have the research component, to have professors from the university or other areas to join us. This is because it would create that bridge between research, education, and the industry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Rector. Now I would like to invite Madam Marina Bzovii, Administrator of Moldova Innovation Technology Park. Dear colleagues, since I am the last to speak, it's difficult to come with a message that differs from what was already said. Many things have already been said about the sector, the association, and I would like to congratulate ACEM also, because 5 years is an important milestone for each entity. This means that the entity is well established, that it has enough supporters, and it means that we have an industry that is continuing to grow. And it will grow not only now in the first 5 years, but also for many years ahead. The electronics industry reaches more than $800 billion globally. We also aim to have a small share of it, and we are happy to see that due to the regime for the IT park, part of the companies are using the facilities offered by the government of the Republic of Moldova. I will not give you a lot of figures about the IT park, but I would like to restate that we are reaching 1,800 recent companies, and in these companies we have more than 20,000 highly qualified employees. Mr. Bostan mentioned that the presence of an association is stimulating the development of the industry. And ACEM, through the conferences that it organizes, through the first conference in this area that is organized today, is incentivizing, attracting human capital in electronics. We also stimulate the efforts for that each company is putting to develop their own business, but also every person they are training. We mentioned that the IT sector is exceeded the winemaking industry in terms of sales, and maybe in a few years the electronics sector will say the same. This does not mean that we are not proud of the Moldovan wines, but this means that we are also growing in other sectors, and we want to be promoted as a country that delivers services, elements, and that is very developed in the electronics sector. I'm sure that today's event will lead to a set of partnerships, will bring new information for the participants. We are very happy to be here with you, and we will support you in all initiatives that ACEM has for the development of the sector. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Bzovii. We would like to thank all those who have had pleasant words for us today at the Embedded Moldova Conference. We continue to approach industrial topics, those that have strategic importance, and we will discuss about embedded systems in the automotive area. We will have 6 companies that will share their expertise in this area. This is an old and new sector at the same time, and our companies will talk about their special place in promoting products in manufacturing equipment for the automotive sector. Now our colleagues will bring the necessary equipment for the panel. And now I would like to ask our participants to get ready to discuss about the most important sectoral topic in this event. I would like to remind you that today's event is split in 2 parts. One of them will be in the second half of the day. We are organizing the 6th edition of the Fair for Engineering. And together with JZ, we will have a roundtable on the promotion of dual education in Moldova. And we are inviting the human resources managers in the front-end search to share with the Ministry of Education and Research the newest changes in legislation in this area. And following all the events today, in the second half of the day, we'll publish or announce the results of the hackathon. This is also an event that is organized for the first time by the Association of Electronic Companies in Moldova.
Coming back to our topic on automotive sector, and in this sense, I want to invite here on the stage our speakers, Mr. Razvan Coban, Global Leader, Cybersecurity e-Mobility PREH company, Mr. Eugeniu Munteanu from AROBS Software, Igor Railean, programmer from Bessarabia Software Technology, Mr. Nicolai Gritco, founder and director of Quasar Development Company, Emanuel Botezat, head of application system and software engineering at Power Electronics, Vitesco Technologies, And last but not least, we invite here Mr. Gabriel Emanuel from Founder Nouveau. And I want to start the discussion from this panel with Mr. Razvan Coban, global leader for cybersecurity activities conducted within PREH company in Romania. Mr. Coban has an experience in software development technologies and engineering with more than 12 years of experience in automotive sector within several companies in Romania, especially and engineering and cybersecurity. Today he will talk briefly about the impact of the new regulation of cybersecurity in automotive sector. Mr. Coban, you have the floor, please. Thank you very much for the invitation, for having the opportunity to be here together with my colleagues. In the next moments, we will talk about a new component or an unexplored area in the recent years. The cybersecurity and automotive, it starts to be felt in the now at the moment from now on, and I will tell you about components that we develop for cars, and that's a new point that comes alongside with processes and new roles, but also it has some constraints in terms of us developing the design of our products. Well, let's start with the first point. We talk about piracy or hacking. This part from the 90s, but the stake was not so high that moment, or did not target us directly. Well, there were those cards for satellite that were prepaid or paid, and there maybe were some programs or matches that needed to be might be watched on based on cards. So that was the interest of hackers, to get access to something that was paid. They wanted to get access to those programs. That's why they started to hack them. Next, they focused on from satellite entry. They focused on cards, FIDs or contactless cards for paying transportation costs. Well, the stake was higher now, but the element behind this was the same. The idea was the same: how to get access to something that I don't want to pay for. Next, we had the intermediate period in about 2010, when they started to raise the interest for the academic sector. And there were people that had good interests, like the white hacking part. They found the vulnerabilities, and they informed this industry, the sector, about the vulnerabilities in order to improve. This was an intermediate stage, and one which made these companies, the firms, to get closer to the academia, to the university sector. As of today, the situation has some kind exploded, extended, and we see nowadays attacks on automotive sector, vehicle producer, manufacturers, and components. I want to say that there is no meaning to compare that X manufacturer is safer than Y manufacturer. It depends on what measures to protect themselves they took, and to what extent the attacker might be interested in that product. It's not meaning to use 5 years to hack a system for a car that will be outdated in a few years. So day by day we have new information that would scratch the surface firstly, and they get at the top with conferences, and we get to responsible disclosures with OEMX. Well, there are also ideas or moments when they pay these people to hack a product. So we pay you, you get an award, but please tell us what did you do and how did you get to there in order to improve our product. Well, we talk now about those who had contracts with automotive sector. There were a lot of discussion about safety or functional safety. And the next slide, I would like to have a kind of a parallel because we have some joint points, but from a specific moment they start separating. So let's start with the safety. In that sense, we talk about protecting the person, the individual, from a system that is not functioning according to the required parameters. So we have a person, and the attacker would be the system, but it's not voluntary, it's intentional. The system is not intended by itself to not to press the brake or choose the brake, but it does happen. So it's a few years that we have this standard that applies in this sense. But next we talk about cybersecurity, and the perspective changes a little bit because we want to protect the appearance of the intentional events. So there is the attempt to prevent the systems attacking the environment, the person, by limiting the risk of attacks caused by humans. And we have a break in the chain because there are persons that want to attack or threaten an embedded system having a purpose, and the worst scenario would be having the intention to harm other people. So we could not protect ourselves if something is intended, and this might work in the end. At the beginning, we have a classic case. You take out the component, you disassemble it, take the case out, and try to understand what the author wanted to say. It's part withdrawal from the vehicle and reverse engineering. Then we start to have access to interfaces because we try to get traffic and to interpret these elements. Next, we start to have access to wireless modules, and in the end we'd like to have a connection to the backend servers of the original equipment manufacturers from the respective producer. And in that sense, the higher the stake, the highest the payment, the result. But the final result is that the attackers want to find the middle way, lowest effort and highest result. So if you look at the slide, it's very hard to get to the back end of an OEM. This thing could not remain just without being addressed, so we had to establish some limitations, some constraints. So we have 3 such documents. We have a standard, another standard of quality, and the EU regulatory document. All the 3 elements manage or regulate the way we are doing management of systems for cybersecurity risks. And this is disaggregated in several pieces, and you'll see that next it focuses on the organization management, how this is structured, culture, governance, competencies, and the way you treat the security aspect as a whole, the way the projects are managed, also the way we monitor the activities that we put on the market, the product development, but also we focus on post-development monitoring. And mainly that's the procedural element. Next we'll see some more technical aspects. Maybe they would raise some interest because these were not explored. And I'd like to start with data at rest, which are fixed in the controller, in the software. And in that sense, we use microcontrollers that compared to the classical setup where we had the 3 or 4 cores with the same flash memory. We have microcontrollers with security areas where they have a trusted area and with their own memory, internal memory. And this memory is not accessible from the outside. And on that memory, we store all the sensitive materials that we don't want to have outsourced from this. And this changes the perspective of cost and also the way we design what to put and where to put, how data are stored. Do we want them public or we want to have them only for us? That's the first component. When we talk about the soft directly, here the digital signature or digital certificate, it exists in the sectors, we take it over in automotive, and it serves as a way to check that the software that is to be programmed is a really authentic one. It's the one we need. And the classical use case, when we have the output from compilation, we pass it from a hash function, we crypt it, and we check it using the digital signature at the other end. You can see there are similar approaches like in other sectors, cloud, storage, secure cloud, secure databases, and so on. We try to bring this to automotive. This brings some complexity and some time and cost-related elements. Now let's talk about data in transit. You know that inside the car we have several components that communicate with each other. Next, they could communicate with the outside environment when we go to a car service and we do a diagnostics. And in that case, the car talks with the computer. So the module that we developed, there actually is no identification number. So what we should protect is that basically everything that we use in that system or everything that could affect the functional safety. How do we do this? We develop a combination between signature and firewalls. So we have a message that is conveyed, we send some data, we add operations which are in hand, maybe counter or other values, other algorithms. We crypt them or calculate in MAC, and the result goes in the end of the message. So I send some message with a signature. There is at the reception when the person receives it, we check this, and if the check is good, I'll have access to data. Otherwise, everything will be deleted. And basically, we have here the firewall mechanism that is put in the game. And last but not least, there's another important aspect affecting us very well in terms of authorization and authentication. And in that case, we need to make sure that only the persons or entities that are needed to have access to those resources. Basically, behind every diagnostic, we will have an authentication of the user, of the person in the database of the client. And according to their credential and the level of access, they will be able to conduct more or less activities. And in that regard, we have other elements from other industries: double-factor authentication, fingerprints, user-based certificates, mechanism that exists in the IT for years. We start bringing them in the embedded sector. But the difference is that in embedded, we don't have 4 GB from RAM or flash, so we need to do this in a very super optimized way. So everything that I told you, it's only the peak, the top of the iceberg, but there are other intangible, unseen elements, like security penetration testing, the way we manage the vulnerability, the way we manage the fleet of vehicles. Well, we have 1,000 vehicles in the same fleet with the same software to understand if the same issue or different, the way we respond to different issues, incidents, and the way we update the software. And more important, in terms of updates over the year, compared to the Android, we don't have to the mobile communication, we don't have the luxury to use the Android systems. In that case, if we are in a tunnel or in a no signal area, we need to have a mechanism that when we go back to the previous mechanism, because we cannot take the car from the top of the mountain to be taken to a platform. Basically, this affects us, but this are elements from the industry that the automotive is willing to accept and to take over. To conclude, I say that there is a long path to this moment. It's a not explored area. It's full of potential, but it's clear that this security is not longer an extra option. It becomes the default. And basically, this helps the users, the customers, those who buy the cars to meet the security and trust standards. That was all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Mr. Coban, thank you very much for your presentation, and following the speech you've had, I would dare to ask you a few questions. And the first would be, what impact would have a security breach in terms of the trust of the customers in relation to the use of the vehicles? Obviously, the impact is a very big one because if we talk at the Maslow's pyramid of needs, basically a security breach or any element that decreases the trust in that product affects the second layer, the safety and security layer in relation to the own person. The low level of trust of the customer leads to a damage of the image for the manufacturer of that vehicle. Every image damage brings financial damages, and this goes like an avalanche. It increases in dimensions, and nobody wants to be part of this avalanche. That's why most of manufacturers and suppliers try to do their best to implement all these mechanisms in a way that it never gets the moment. Well, we never can be 100% secure, but we could tell that we are as secure as possible with our technology. What role do the standards play in ensuring cybersecurity in automotive sector? First of all, I'd say that this establishes a specific environment and sets some limits that everybody should adhere, should respect. No, there is no space for interpretation of some clauses. No, everybody should implement the same things, the same standards, regardless of the fact you are BMW or Ford. The core is the same. Plus, this will help building your image on the market. Do you take more measures than is needed? You pay more importance to the fact, and this leads to a higher trust in relation to you. Well, thank you very much for everything you do in terms of ensuring cybersecurity in automotive sector. Now we continue to discuss about this topic, and we will continue with the intervention of Mr. Eugeniu Munteanu from AROBS Software, company focused on developing solutions and software services for clients. Mr. Munteanu has been working for more than 20 years in developing different products in automotive sector, and he will tell about his expertise in AROBS software in this field. Mr. Munteanu, please, you have the floor. Good morning. I am Eugeniu Munteanu from AROBS, the branch in Chișinău, and I will present shortly the achievements of AROBS software company in embedded sector, especially automotive. Well, AROBS company is a lead company in software and services sector. It has offices and branches at the local and international level, more than 1,300 employees and collaborators, about 70 partners of the software services, Europe and America, and more than 11,000 customers for the software products business lines in Europe and Asia. We have won different awards in Romania, and for 2023 we have a turnover of 85.8 million euro. The motto of AROBS culture, our company is European by birth, international by culture, and this is referred to the fact that we have 11 offices in Romania and 10 international branches in different countries, in Germany, UK, Netherlands, Belgium, and including Moldova. AROBS recently has joined the Bucharest Stock Exchange, and AROBS is the biggest, the largest technical Romanian company that is present on the Bucharest stock market, and this is one of the few largest companies offering this so-called free employee stock option plan, according to which every employee of the company can also become a partner when they buy some or own some shares. We might tell that AROBS has reached the global level in terms of providing IT solutions, providing ready-to-use systems based on the latest technologies. We have more than 25 years of experience in software services, and we are oriented towards different IT needs of different industries like automotive, embedded systems, travel, medicine, hospitality, and so on and so forth. Our background and expertise relies on experiences in the embedded system, focused on different narrowed systems like embedded for automotive, industrial IoT, medical devices, aerospace, marine technologies, and so on. What do we have here for automotive? We provide customized solutions, software, hardware, and mechanical solutions for a wide range of automotive products. Our specialists develop different projects and take part in the design of this development of these projects at all levels, starting from the basic software with the development of different device drivers, middleware components, even applications. Basically, they are involved at all levels of the product development. Therefore, we have experience in terms of different architectures or strategy, OEM strategies. Sorry. We have more than 15 years of experience in automotive and embedded system sectors. We have a quite extended international team of professionals. We work with different countries like Romania, Germany, France, China, Japan, and many others. And in 2021, we received the title from Continental Company as the Supplier of the Year for the engineering services. This award was due to the fact that our manufacturers, our teams were involved basically in all the sectors or in the development of all components you could find in a car. Now we'd like to talk a little bit about the internal structure of company for automotive and embedded system sector. We have two groups in this regard focused on body and security, access systems, ADAS, multimedia, telematics, powertrain, gateways, instrumentation, and tool sets, different kinds of tool sets and instrumentation. And in group 2, we have instrument and clusters, display, engineering systems, and so on. As I've said, AROBS is looking more at developing software solutions, and we have cooperation with different companies, but we also have some smaller interior projects. If we talk about electric vehicles, we have a project related to EV chargers. This project implies the development for hardware side chargers with 11 or 22 kilowatt for chargers for type 2 connectivity electrical vehicles, long charging cable of 7.5 meters, integrated meter for current power, and different channels of communication. And the software part loads over-the-air updates, remote control for pre-mod bus or OCCP protocol, plug-and start elements, power allocation, surplus charging, so that we have it integrated in a grid or network that would imply the use of solar panels, power distribution or load management, start-stop charging module, and mobile app support. We also have a point on connectivity to a cloud backend. In order to bring you an overview of our experience, we have a high expertise in automotive and autonomous vehicles. We are certified according to TISAX AL2. We are partners with ACEM, Association of Electronics Companies in Moldova, and the main projects in this sense are advanced lighting technologies which uses LED arrays and video cameras to detect objects and vehicles around the car in order to automatically adopt the headlights. And we have also a cluster of digital tools to bring analog displays on information related to the vehicle or around the vehicle. That was all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Munteanu. After your presentation, I would like to have a clarification for those who are present today. And I would like to ask, how difficult is it for embedded product developers in the automotive sector to have a balance between the performance of the vehicles and the safety measures? Safety is something that we are probably most interested in when we buy a vehicle. Recently, I've been working in the area of safety. And for me, of course, safety has the highest priority. I would say that the most important aspect is to follow the standards. This is something relatively abstract, but it has a long-term impact in the product. Discussing about automotive or embedded systems, the biggest issue is the fact that the developer or the company that supplied a product cannot step in immediately to fix a problem, for example, for web products. Like in the web products. So here, the situation is a bit more complicated. The supplier, beside the fact that they have to have a standard like ISO 26262 that they follow, they need to take responsibility on the long term that this product will not endanger the life of persons. Yes, the functionality of the device or the car itself is also important, but I would say that what's most important is following the standards and accountability in developing the product from the point of view of the security. Thank you very much, Mr. Munteanu, for your intervention. I would like to say that AROBS is a partner of the Technical University of Moldova for the implementation of classes for embedded in automotive. And Mr. Munteanu is a lecturer in the Technical University of Moldova. And we would like to congratulate your partnership in this area. Dear audience, now we have an intervention from Igor Railean, developer from BSW Tech. He has experience in cybersecurity and automotive. He has developed different projects for the companies in Romania and Germany. Mr. Railean will tell us about the expertise of the company BSW in the implementation of security projects. Good morning, everyone. I would say that this panel should be called Safety in Automotive because we are all discussing about safety. My name is Igor and I'm a member of the Bzovii Tech team. This is one of the few companies in the Republic of Moldova that are doing outsourcing in the area of automotive. I have 8 years experience in embedded automotive. I used to work as a safety engineer in a functional safety team in automotive. And I would like to tell you a bit about what we have been doing and what I have learned. What is functional safety? As my colleague from PREH mentioned, functional safety is part of what we call safety for cars, for an electronic control unit. Each control unit from the car should respect ISO 26262. Why? Because functional safety aims to reduce the risk to have injuries or even deadly injuries for the users of the car, but also for other participants in road traffic. And currently, users don't like reading product specifications, especially in automotive. And the system needs to protect the system from the user from the system and the system from the user. And I'll give you a simple example from electric cars, because not everyone knows how to connect the charger to the car. And it's interesting to see what happens to the terminals when we switch them on or off. The safety measures take care of the fact that make sure that the user is not electrocuted or doesn't have any burns and other injuries. I have mentioned the most important reasons why producers should follow ISO 26262 very strictly. For example, the use of internet in the car. For us, today the car is like a smartphone. And we like not getting out of our comfort zone when driving. We want to have access to online maps. Sometimes we watch YouTube or we access something within the car without using the phone. And here we have a high risk mentioned by our colleague from PREH. This is cyber attacks. We in functional safety are lower than cybersecurity, and we are somehow protected by cybersecurity, but we cannot be sure that all protocols or keys are well protected and that tomorrow there will not be a technology that will corrupt this data and that will affect us. So we need to take this risk and to protect the user from the danger that could arise if the system fails. And the second aspect is advanced technologies. And I'll give you a short example. Today, the car is not just an engine on wheels, so whether this is an electric engine or a combustion engine. We are not only looking at the engine, but also at the technologies implemented in the car. People are interested in security, radars, ADAS, assistance for parking, cameras, and other devices that are part of a modern car. And all this technology has the risk of being corrupted, of failing, because we do not have perfect systems nowadays. And I'm coming back to ISO 26262. This ISO standard regulates the interaction between software and hardware at the lowest level. It needs to ensure collaboration for the software at the lowest level. This means that the software needs to maintain hardware working all the time, and if there are any issues caused by the system or by the user, it needs to maintain a safe state where it does not cause or does not lead to any risk for the user or for other participants to the road traffic. And there is safety measures that is used at the level of basic software. And we are obliged to use it because our module, our controller, has received a civil level of integrity. We should know that ISO 26262 does not tell us how to implement a certain security mechanism, does not tell us how the algorithm works or how we should write the code. It just says that this system has a high risk of causing damage, and we should implement this mechanism. And I'll give you an example. We have RAM memory where we store the binary code executed by the electrical control unit. We have built-in mechanism for the microcontroller like error correction code. We have a memory protection unit. So we restrict access to this area of memory that we consider to be related to safety. And we all know that ICUs communicate among themselves in the car through Basocam. So we can monitor important messages through an end-to-end protection technology. And again, this is not mentioned in ISO 26262. It only says that we need to use it. What is important in 26262 is a SAIL, Automotive Safety Integrity Level. This is the scale to classify ICUs by the risk level. And the lowest risk is A and the highest is D. So high risk cell is airbag, ABS, and on A level SL risk will be the charger for electric vehicles. How is this classification done in ISO 26262? We have the exposure probability, the controllability by driver, and severity of failure. And the sum of all these aspects gives us the SL for the controller we are developing. And now I will show you a diagram. It seems it has a lot of information, but I hope it is clear. This analysis is done at the beginning of the development of a product. It shows us what level of SL our product will have. And we have the three aspects. And let's analyze the last row in the table on the right, because there we have a module with the highest level of risk, SLD. And we can see that the severity is S3. This means that in case of a failure of the system, we can have life-threatening injuries for the passenger or the driver. This means that the exposure to this risk is very high, and C1, C3 controllability, this does not mean anything because the driver cannot control this process. So such a system is the airbag or the ABS. So the driver is confident that the system is working, and once they press the brake, they expect the car to slow down. And we categorize this as SLD. I, as a software developer, understand that I need to implement the highest number of security mechanisms that I know about or that exist at that moment. And I will tell you about the phases of product development from the safety perspective. There are three phases that each software goes through. In the concept phase, we have a HARA analysis, hazard analysis and risk assessment. And this is very important because this is where we determine the integrity level for the module we are developing. Also, we need to develop the safety objectives or goals. What are safety goals? This shows us what risks can arise during the functioning of our module. For example, electrocution or burns. And after we have the HARA analysis, we have this document that is developed, safety concept, where we describe all the use cases that are potential. And these are analyzed to create requirements that are then implemented by the safety engineer. The concept part is developed by the manager together with the customer, because sometimes if there are constraints, the customer needs to understand that safety might not allow the implementation of certain features. So after we have all the safety documents developed, I only mentioned the safety concept because this is a document that goes to the safety engineer and throughout the development of the software. Then in the product development phase, we have the technical safety concept. But the safety software goes through the same steps as a simple software in automotive. We have the same recycle and via SPICE standards. The exception is that in order to validate the safety code, we have safety analysis, safety qualification, and safety concept that is all updated all the time. So when we are developing a product, we might understand that there is another use case where our system doesn't know how to react. But since we have an unpredictable situation, the system goes to the safety state. This is a state when it cannot lead to injuries. In conclusion, security goes hand in hand with advanced technologies. Whether we like it or not, this happens. And the fact that we have internet in the car makes the car an open system, interconnected with other internet systems. These systems could have access to the car and could corrupt the data. The hard system that is working daily because it is doing the most of the work needs to be protected. If we have cybersecurity, we know that we have ISO 26262 that will take over control and will maintain security in our car. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Railean. This is a very interesting presentation, in my opinion. Out of curiosity, I would like to understand what are the challenges for an engineer when you implement cybersecurity, when you develop the security aspects. For me, the most challenging part is the interaction with safety experts and with the managers from the highest level of development. I took part in the revision of the safety concept, in the safety requirements, and I like the fact that this field is new and is open. You can always find a use case when it seems like this cannot happen. So you could find use case, and it is approached by the highest level of safety experts. These cases are thoroughly analyzed. And yes, the activity in a new field is always interesting and challenging. Thank you, Mr. Railean. Now we have with us Mr. Nicolai Gritco, who is the founder and manager of Quasar development that is using AutoSAR development and auto tools, also artificial intelligence. They are offering software solutions of high quality to German manufacturers in the automotive sector. Thank you, Elena, for the presentation. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here today together with our colleagues from the industry, and I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to share with you the experience and expertise of Quasar development. Maybe you are asking yourself, what is Quasar? This started when I was in university, when I was passionate about IT, physics, and so on. During the next 10 years, I developed my engineering and management abilities. And I always wanted to develop the development of this area. Therefore, in 2022, together with a colleague, I started Quasar development. And in my opinion, in 2 years, it managed to have remarkable results. We have 9 employees. We have 5 projects in production, 1 project that is developed 100% in our company, and 3 partners from Germany and Austria who are supporting us throughout this journey. Quasar Development is a company that specializes in offering consultancy and software development services. Now we have 4 directions we are focused on: development and testing in automotive, tool development, project management, and artificial intelligence. Today I will tell you more about the first 2 directions, because initially we wanted to only have software development services. But as time goes by, the requirements from the customers became more complex and we had to adapt. Therefore, today we are able to offer a complex package of services that has all services from the creation of the requirement up to testing. Up to now, we have mostly used in battery management systems, heating systems, airbags, bootloaders, and so on. But as you can see, the potential of our team is higher, and we could take part in the development of any project in automotive. I will tell you a bit about my professional experience. Since my first job, I had this frustration caused by tasks that took a lot of time but did not teach us anything new. So I thought about automatizing these tasks. In Quasar, we took over these results. We are not just developing software, we are improving efficiency and productivity. Today, we will present 3 tools developed in Quasar Development. The first is flashing tool. This is a tool that can program different microcontrollers and run tests for bootloaders. The second is report gen. It is a tool for report generation and graphic generation based on inputs from Power BI and IAMS. And the third one is the ECU simulator. This is a tool that can run and test projects based on AUTOSAR architecture. Did you know that in approximately 30% of projects it can have hardware delays due to different reasons? We also face this issue, and we had to start our project 3 months later. This made us start the development of a simulator that would allow us to be more independent from the hardware part. After 6 months of development, we had this simulator that later became the business card of our company. Let's look at the functionalities. This is a tool that can run projects with AUTOSAR architecture without having an ECU and card case. We can import different files such as CDD, as you can see in the image RXML. We can test different functionalities, and we can do this in a free development environment such as Studio Code. We can interact with instruments from Vector such as Canoe and Canape. So we are running the project directly in the simulator, and then we have the tests in Canoe. We can simulate PVM, ADC, we can simulate ports and other functionalities that are vital when you don't have hardware at hand. Our simulator is easy to integrate in an AUTOSAR project, and the functionalities that would expand this tool are limited only by our imagination or the requirements of the customer. In this industry, discipline, curiosity, and courage are important. These are the qualities that are needed to innovate. The qualities of our team are reflected in Albert Einstein's words. I don't have special talents, I'm just passionate about curiosity. At the beginning of the discourse, I was telling you that everything started during university. I could tell you that Quasar development could be a motivation for the young generation. When the young people see products from Quasar development, they could be motivated to innovate and explore this area. If you need more details on the products or services from Quasar development, you can access our site, quasar-development.com. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gritco, for this interactive presentation of Quasar development. We know that the company also has applications based on AI, and I would like to ask you, what are the emerging trends in the use of artificial intelligence in automotive? AI is already integrated in the automotive industry, but the rhythm of integration is slower than in other industry, given the fact that the automotive industry is related, first of all, to passenger safety. In Quasar development, we are only working with vocal or commands, and we are trying to expand this to the healthcare system. I think this is a good idea to, or opportunity to expand your activity in Moldova Embedded Conference. We are continuing with the intervention from Emanuel Botezat, Head of Application System and Software Engineering in the cluster for power electronics in Vitesco. Mr. Botezat has a 5-year experience in the software development area and 4 years in leading software development teams. His current position is that of coordinating teams that are developing software for traction inverters and DC-DC inverters. If there's something that I pronounced incorrectly, please tell us.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for inviting us to take part in this first edition of the conference. I am Emanuel Botezat. As Elena said, we represent company Vitesco Technologies, and today I want to tell you some of the elements maybe that my previous speakers mentioned, but which are integrated in the process. I'd like to tell you about what the development process means and why should we use the development processes for developing the embedded applications. Let's try to work with the monitor with the screen at the same side, at the same time. So let me tell a little bit about Vitesco Technologies. First, under the Vitesco Technology brand, we've been working for a few years recently. Vitesco is the former powertrain from Continental Department. And in the recent years, we've been rebranded from Continental to Vitesco Technologies. Our purpose is to develop a new idea, a new company which has the main idea of electrification, electronics, and develop components for vehicles which are affordable. Our company's mission is to provide mobility solutions, clean mobility. We want to contribute to low CO2 emissions, and all these things are done together with our colleagues from the company, and they have these 3 values: being passionate, partnering, and pioneering. And I also need to let you know that our colleagues develop innovating solutions. We are teams that are dedicated to develop solutions for the vehicles I mentioned. Our goal is to deliver these solutions while considering the costs that we might incur for the production, and of course to fit in the timelines the clients want for this. For the partnering side, you'll see in the next slide, you'll see that we conclude partnerships with customers, but also my colleagues cooperate a lot in developing these solutions. And from the pioneering perspective, you should know that the Vitesco Technologies has an innovation department. We are doing researches and developing new solutions in this sector. Very briefly about the footprint of our organization. Vitesco Technologies is present in more than 50 locations or around 50 locations in the world with more than 35 employees globally, and our portfolio includes components for electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, but you will find also components for standard vehicles like internal combustion vehicles. Our headquarters, we are present in different countries in Europe, and if we talk about Romania, there are 4 locations with more than 2,000 employees only in the field of research and development in Sibiu, Timișoara, and Iași. In Brașov, we produce ICUs for electrification, and my colleagues mentioned yesterday about the high voltage inverters produced. And maybe you wondered why do we have these locations for this specific product? Because there is a footprint for the development of this product in Romania. We have drivetrains, differentiated power systems in Sibiu. Those from Timișoara focus on developing ICUs for battery management systems, for high voltage boxes that might integrate DC-DCs, converters, or even inverters. And the specific for the Iași facility is to develop solutions of high voltage DC-DC, low voltage DC-DC 48 volt standard, inverters for traction inverters, and inverters for belt starter generation. I was saying that in terms of partnering, we have concluded the clear partnerships in relation to raw material supply for components that we use in producing our ICs. And an example is the one with gun systems or Infineon, partnerships that help us control the time for our benefit, and it makes sure that we have always the raw material for the ICU's production. If to talk about partnerships with the customers, because that's the focus of my presentation today, the partnership with the Renault Group helps us develop new technologies for possibly the largest BEV manufacturers. We cooperate with the colleagues from AROBS in the development of ICBC for CBC for Renault, different other softwares, and maybe I would make you curious if I invite you to follow the launch of the new module where we will install the PCBC model, and this is the first vehicle produced by Renault, which has a support in the form of a baguette, this French type of bread. Well, our organization continues to develop. After we've been listed on the stock exchange in 2021, in 2023, we received an offer from the heads of the organization to purchase the major share package, and for the middle of May, we've received the approval of the board members from Vitesco to continue the merger. What you shall know is that the new company will have a new division called e-mobility, and the staff of this department will continue focusing on the aforementioned elements. And this division will use also the capability of the leaders to integrate the systems and maybe to develop low-cost products, but with higher speed and shorter time of development. This was about Vitesco Technologies. Now I'd like to go to the technical part of my intervention. Yesterday I was telling about electrification platform that we currently have in our sector. Some continue to have internal combustion engines, 48-volt mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery electric vehicle. This might give electrification solutions. And we have this BEV platform, fully electric vehicles, for which Vitesco has some solutions to offer also. Those 9 products that you can see on this slide include software solutions. And if it is to think about how Vitesco Technologies develops softwares, my first response that comes to my mind is that of the head of the division of electrification, and this says by project execution, meaning that we have a plan that we need to comply with whilst respecting some steps of implementation. And if to compare the software development could be compared to a Lego. As of today, we have a lot of software elements in a software application. Maybe it's more than 30 or 40 software components, which in their turn include a lot of elements, components, files, and other information. We buy software solutions from other suppliers. Maybe if we think about the Vector, Electrogrid, and other software solution suppliers for our elements, for our company, we need to integrate software solutions from customers. And in the partnership with Renault, we integrate the algorithm of engine control from Renault company. So we need to find an appropriate solution to integrate that respective algorithm. And Lego has instruction manual. First, when we receive the pieces, we will have some bags with the pieces and instruction manual. So basically what we do is to follow the instructions in the manual. And today I'd like to tell you briefly about frameworks to develop softwares. I've chosen 3 of these. Any of these has developed in time, and if today we develop a methodology of software development, there's so many and diverse elements, methods that we might not have enough time in a day to discuss about this. Why did I choose these 3 ones? Because these are strongly related to the way we're developing softwares. Maybe this is typical for more companies. The first method is prototyping. Such a process is used typically when the innovation department wants to try a new concept. We have a basic requirement set that we want to validate. The solution is developed, so we test it and we understand if it functions or not. Well, obviously, such a software solution could not be industrialized, could not be included in a vehicle without being tested. There's very few tests that we do in terms of prototyping of software. And what I recall now is the one related to the C software development for the hard blocks validation. Waterfall development. Many of you may know about this, including with this V cycle, the other side that ensures the continuation of the process. The waterfall process actually is quite a simple process with 5 simple steps to follow. In this process, every step, one developer will develop different products. For example, for the requirements, we need to develop requirements for our developers to review them, to make them very clear for the developers and the testers. For the design stage, the software engineers have to develop architectural elements, be it to design, to model, or draw ports that we need information to be used for the development of some functionalities, or maybe to decide from dynamics point of view about elements that should be included in the functions that are to be created. At the implementation stage, we might find it the most pleasant one because the developers create different files that we need to work with. We will find an file XMLA that I will talk about at the end. And for the verification stage, next we need to check that what we've developed so far is correct. We do unitary tests, integration, or embedding tests. We check that everything works correctly. And within Vitesco technologies, we have teams dedicated to check the software system requirements or any other type of requirements. And these are automatized as testing elements. We use them as hardware in the loop, software in the loop methods or processes. And as for the system testing, we use as much as possible the integration system that we have in the car. The last stage is the maintenance, the one in which we want to develop back fixes. We look at what problems are identified in the process. If it's about the software, we do an update. If we are not in a tunnel and we manage to do this update, it's okay. But if the problems are of a different nature, we might have a so-called recall process. Maybe you've heard about this recall campaigns when hundreds of vehicles are brought to car services for the recall process. And these are meant to avoid problems or issues that might appear in the end. And the spiral development I want to talk about, we might find this element in other methodologies. And it was transformed. It might be found under the form of Scrum, Agile. So, it has also cycles. Every cycle intends to implement a piece or a part of the software that we need to deliver in the end as a product. For every beginning of a spiral, we will have a stage and increment that we want to develop, to build. Steps are inspired from the first two processes, waterfall and prototyping. And I'd say that difference to be noted here is that there is a fourth step when we plan the next cycle. We want to understand what has functioned, what has not, to understand what is the current situation. And I think that Agile is using a lot this development process. We've heard about standards, ISO, ASPICE, and a little bit AutoSAR. I would like to let you know that there is this specific architecture, Open AutoSAR Automotive, Open System Architecture, and the goal of the architecture we see in this slide is for these blocks to be able to be changed with the most minimum effort possible. We want to have this change fast and to avoid the hacking the controllers if it's possible. In the slide, we can find this application layer architecture. And the solution that I want to present today, the solution that we have implemented for the CDC element using the AutoSAR architecture, relates to the protection of an ICU. And software solutions should always ensure protection at different levels, 1 or 2, safety level 1, safety level 2. And the way in which we develop these software solutions, or these components, if you like to call them so, is in compliance with the standards, or should be compliant with the standards and development processes. For example, we have a protection component involved. If we want to verify, to check that we have the voltage of our BCBC of, in a specific range, we will look at this component, and this should communicate with the rest of the ICUs. We'll need permission from the FED inhibition module. We will need different diagnostics to be done. Obviously, it will communicate on the same layer of application with mode manager of the vehicle in order to get to the error, verification error, and to tell about the reasons for the error. And on the right side, we can see that we always supposed to have inputs by customer-specific adaptation. We have type CDD layer, have a generic solution, and together with the inputs from the mode manager and other from the journal on the slide, we need to have a hardware that converts energy from high voltage to low voltage. And I also wanted to mention that in Vitesco technology, we have a software for software development solutions, which has a collection of features which might be used for several products or several versions of projects. And this increases continuously. There are different development strategies for the solutions. There might be a generated solution by MATLAB, target link, or manually developed solutions. And in our application software department, basically we need to adjust this solution to the needs of the customers and the projects we are developing, to focus on these customer-specific adoptions with everything that refers to the customization and adaptation of the process. I also want to mention about the way the students could apply their knowledge or to learn this knowledge about AutoSAR development of software and standards. In Iași, we have teaching labs, which might be similar to the ones from AROBS. I know that Andrei Bragarenko had at a specific moment in time a lab here which was dedicated for teaching. We invite the students to take part in these teaching labs in the development of software solutions, and if they're not passionate about software solutions, they might take part in hardware solutions development labs. And we have other colleagues, including Marius from hardware engineering. They will have to develop, in that case, a small DC-DC. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'd like to conclude the discussions in this panel with the presentation of Mr. Gabriel Manole, founder of Novo company. He will talk about software-defined vehicles. Please. Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm really glad to be with you today. I will start by using a joke, and I hope my panel colleagues will not be sad. I heard that when you come with a PowerPoint, we have no power and you have no point. So I've been working for 20 years in automotive in embedded sector. I worked with AutoSAR starting from version 1.1, and last year I published an article in the anniversary brochure of AutoSAR Consortium, which resumed all this journey. And for me, actually, this journey means that I started from basic software, from a software that was very simple, and for the last 20 years the vehicle transformed from a product that was mainly mechanical to a product that is defined by software. That is my topic to raise. I will talk about how my company dealt with this. I founded an advisory company called Nuvo, and starting from May from this month, I'm also country manager for Indego company, Romania. We in the Indego company, we're a company focused on mechanics and optics, and they want to add a very strong software component. That's why I joined them, and together with my colleagues from Poland, we will develop a department that will solve such issues. So I walk the talk, and today I will tell you several things about transformation and the future paths, the future journeys of software-defined vehicles. And I really hope that after this short introduction, you keep an interesting new thing that you find out about the cars. The first thing I'd like to bring to your attention is that vehicles, the cars are sold based on a different type of marketing. Maybe you remember that a Lamborghini used to be sold based on its design and the power of its engine, how fast it reached to 100 kilometers per hour, about 3 seconds. But now we have a new car manufactured by Xiaomi, which is basically a manufacturer of appliances and phones, and this new car reaches to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.7 seconds. But this is sold so fast not only due to his speed, but due to its comfort, his interesting design aspect, and you should think that such a car was developed in a cycle which took less than 3 years. So when you think about this new car, about a new car like a Volkswagen or Mercedes, this used to have longer development cycles. So how did the Xiaomi company manage to do this? They took their experience from the ecosystem, developing embedded ecosystems from phones, TVs, or other appliances, and they developed this car in a partnership with BYD, a Chinese manufacturer, and they manufactured the car. The already mature or used parts are already reused, and the strong point of a Xiaomi car is the integration, the compatibility with the phone, and digital twin, our digital window. Maybe you feel very comfortable when you get in the car and you can continue listening to the podcast you used to listen before that by your headphones, or you can take the podcast you listen in the morning on the laptop. So you can pay with those elements you already have on your accounts to cross, for example, to pay for crossing the bridge on Danube at Vitesco, in the Vitesco region. So this is how the flexibility, manageability of the car continues, and the comfort is ensured. The car is and will be thought in order to integrate mobility from one end to another, and it will not be just a simple product. I've just mentioned about the mobility, and if we talk about mobility, this is an important thing for the new society. When we look at the way the society develops, it's two accelerated trends. One is to move from rural areas to urban areas, but at least in Romania and Europe, you can look that big cities became even bigger, and rural areas or less populated became even less populated. Agriculture is done by using drones, by using automatized tractors with a lot of automated processes, less human presence, so everybody goes to big cities, the highest urban agglomerations, and the biggest ones, the largest ones, are in Asia. And in that case, we should use cars or have our own or rent a car, or we might have mobility elements like scooter, tram, bus, autobus, and these elements will be all part of the ecosystem. Recently, I've traveled with my son to Milano, and we had the choice how to travel around the city. We had options for metro, or the subway, tram, or bicycles or scooters, bus to the airport, and the plane. So this helped me to use my phone in looking and choosing different things, and it might even have helped better if we had better options to be compatible with this aspect in one single item. And several things that we need to think about for the long term is that we will want to have updates on our phone, like on the phone. We will not want to have our cars staying at the condition from 10 years ago. One thing that relates here is the subject of Razvan Coban. This will imply cybersecurity, because a car that is not safe can be stolen. And the most expensive the car is, the most important for us will be to update the cybersecurity system. The idea that what is developed now, the features based on AI or models which are trained and can be sent directly to the car to process information or to streamline, to optimize what is there, these would be needed to be updated in the car. So it's important for a car to be able to be updated and the software to be developed, like Emanuel said, in line with the process that is able or can be updated rapidly. And if we think that, for example, we have yesterday and today a hackathon, the students will show the first phase of the project. But to have the final product, we need different phases. We need to have it easily changeable when we have different updates. So we don't want these elements to become bureaucratic. These things are done to generate enough information so that updates lead to safe changes. I would not know for an update to just disrupt my phone. Obviously, this cannot happen in the car. And we know also that the new features will need to replace or the old ones, or to replace the new ones, because I would not them to lose the functions.
If we add ADAS functions, which are very important, I want to still keep the ones that were running. I don't want the previous one to be less and less functional. And another thing that we should take into account, although it seems that the calculation power is unlimited, we need to understand that the applications need to be optimized. We are discussing about embedded and the calculation power. And this has two dimensions. So what we have used needs to last for 10, 15 years. We cannot upgrade it. And it uses electricity. And therefore, there's an issue of consumption and sustainability. Yesterday, you've had a panel discussing about energy. The way we design the software for a car influences energy consumption. There are apps that take a lot of energy and applications that are optimized. We cannot bring new hardware to the car unless we have additional costs. And we always need to update these apps, being aware that there are limitations for resources. This is something that we need to take into account for everything we are doing. We don't have enough water, we don't have enough renewables. China has solar panels for the next 5 years, but I wonder what happens when we need to replace everything. We have green energy when we have wind and sun, otherwise it's more difficult to generate energy. And all this needs to be used in moderation. Software is not just about hype. I want the car to function well in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years also. And one can think about the way our parents and grandparents used to wear clothes. Now we are changing clothes very often and we generate a lot of waste. They used to wear a suit for 5, 10 years. It was relatively on fashion. We didn't have that pressure from fashion, and we didn't generate waste. If you are thinking about how houses used to look like, they didn't have a lot of furniture. They didn't have a lot of clothes. And the car means simplifying these concepts, integrating many things in one, having updates, and making sure that cybersecurity is well managed so that our data, our cars cannot be accessed. This was my speech for today. I hope that you have remembered or found out something new, something interesting, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again. Thank you, Mr. Emanuel, and I would like to thank the other panelists that have tackled an important topic, cybersecurity, and in automotive. Please applaud them again. Although we have went beyond the time, I hope nobody got bored because we had a very interesting discussion, and we continue approaching topics related to tech business. And now we have a keynote speaker, and I would like to invite him here to the stage. And I would like to invite our panelists to have some networking after this important discussion. Now we have Nick Himovic, who will discuss about how to turn a new technology into a successful business.
Good morning, everybody. Just wait for my slides to come up, but while I'm waiting, I'd love to ask a few questions. The first question is, how's your English? Is your English okay? It's good or not so good? We've got some thumbs up. Good. The second question is, we have translation. Okay, great. The next question is, how many of you are technical experts or engineers of any kind? If you're a technical expert or an engineer, can you put your hands up? Brilliant, brilliant. How many of you are CEOs or business owners? Can you put your hand up if you're an entrepreneur? Brilliant, we've got a few, yeah. I've got another question. How many of you would like to start your own business one day? Yeah, we've got a lot. How many of you don't have an idea, but you're thinking, oh, I just wish I had an idea, and then I'd start a business? Any of you? Yeah, a few? Okay, great, great, great. I think this is going to be for you, this presentation. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name's Nick Himovic. I'm an innovation coach, and I work with CEOs of $100 million revenue companies, and I work with CEOs and founders of early-stage startups. I help them create new scalable business models, and I also help them create value propositions that their customers love. Okay? And I want to talk about this post here. So I wrote this on LinkedIn about a month ago. I've only got around 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, but this managed to get 300,000 impressions. And I'm going to talk about the post in a second. Friends of mine, yeah, I've seen them steal this post, not credit me, and then I told them, and they go, I didn't realize it was yours. So I've seen that many, many people use this post since I made it. And it's about innovation. And I really want to share I want to share it with you today because I think it's going to help us answer this question of how do you turn a new technology into a successful business? How do we innovate? Okay, so let's have a look at it. This is what people think innovation is, okay? You see, building new products and technology, okay? That's what people associate it with. But actually, what innovation is more like this. We need to zoom out. It's about learning about our customers, understanding what their needs are, testing ideas and collecting evidence, and then being prepared to kill our ideas at an early stage so we don't waste time, energy, money building something that nobody wants. Because that's what happens so often, right? We say we're going to build a prototype. We're going to build an MVP, minimum viable product. It's only going to take 3 months. What happens after 6 months? Is it ready? No, but we just need 10,000 more euros and 3 more months and then it will be ready. But this is not the right approach. What we should be doing is trying to test our ideas very quickly in a few weeks and then make sure that we don't invest too much money until we've got evidence that it's a good idea. And this is what we're going to talk about in this session today. Oh, and so building new products and technology is just one small part of it. Let's understand this process a bit better. So all of the methodology that I use comes from these books. It's the Strategizer book series. Business Model Generation, this is one of the classics. It's in the top 10 business books of all time on many lists. As part of it, it talks about the business model canvas. Millions of people around the world use this methodology to create new businesses. It was invented by these two, Yves Pignot and Alex Osterwalder. I've been lucky enough to work closely with Alex over the past 3 years. As I say, he's the inventor of the business model canvas. So we'll be using 1 or 2 of these tools for this session. Okay, so what innovation really is. We said it's about learning about customers. What does that mean? Well, we need to use one of the tools that I mentioned here, which is the customer profile. Okay, this helps us really understand customers. Okay, I want to tell a quick story about this. So back in 2015, I was in London and I went to a workshop with Alex Osterwalder and he introduced me to this concept. After the workshop, I was working at a digital agency and the CEO of that company was a very successful entrepreneur. He had 2 successful exits. He was a multi-millionaire. And I sat down and I asked him like 4 questions, right? Number 1, who's our customer? Yeah. Number 2, what are their jobs to be done? What are they trying to do? Number 3, what are their pains and their difficulties and their frustrations? And number 4, what are their gains? What are the outcomes that they want? What are the results, their desired results? Basic questions. We spent 45 minutes discussing, and we didn't really get the answers. But afterwards he said, Nick, that was a fantastic conversation, you know? Because then we started changing our approach to how we ran the organization. I helped them. We were able to generate millions in revenue after that conversation. So it was very, very, very successful starting point. So I want to ask you a few questions, or get you to think about a few questions now. I want you to think about this. Who would you like to sell to? What are they trying to get done in their work and in their life? What are their goals and their desired outcomes? And what difficulties, frustrations, obstacles, negative outcomes are they experiencing? This is the foundation of what we need to do to be able to create a successful business. If you don't have the answers to this, you won't have a successful business. Because I speak to a lot of CEOs and they say, I want us to be, we're a customer-centric organization. Everything's about the customer here. And then I say, okay, great. Who are your customers? What are their jobs to be done? What are their pains and their gains? And then they scratch their head. Maybe they're a CEO that's done a lot of sales before and they've spoken to a lot of customers. So maybe the CEO does have the answers. But often what I find, is that when I say, okay, does anybody outside of your sales team and your customer success team know the answers to these questions? The answer is usually no. So what we should do is these answers should be in a document somewhere that's shared with everybody in the company so that we can create a truly customer-centric company. Because if everybody in your company doesn't know the answer to these questions, you're not a customer-centric company, okay? So that's the tool. Now, I want to give a Moldovan example. I made a video about this on YouTube. Sona from Simples, they are doing amazing things. The process that they use within Simples is world-class. It's world-class. And they're using a lot of elements from those books that I talked about before. So I want to give you a bit of an example here. So Dmitry Voloshin, he's a competitive swimmer, right? He does his running and his swimming. You're all familiar with him, I believe. Yeah, I see some nods. I see some also no movement, so I'll explain. He's the founder of Simples, right? And he also runs a lot of the marathons and things that go on in Chisinau. Okay, so he was preparing for one of these races one day. And in that point, what he was trying to do was improve his swimming technique with his coach. The difficulty that he had was that he said, I can't hear my coach when I'm underwater. Yeah? I can see Vacislav nodding. He likes this story. So he says, I can't hear my coach while I'm underwater. Yeah, because you can't hear. And so the coach is shouting, but Dmitry couldn't hear. And so what he wanted, the game that he wanted, was real-time feedback. In the moment, when he's moving his arm, he wanted to be able to hear exactly what he's doing wrong. Not like this, should be like this. Not like that, should be like that. And what he wanted to get was a new personal best record to reach faster strokes, do fewer strokes to finish the length. That was his customer profile. So he went to his team and he said, look, we're creating this for people like me, okay? And we need to create a solution. So his team created a solution for him. And it looked something like this. And then what they did was it worked. It's actually working. You can buy this. It's a great solution. The coach is able to speak directly to the swimmer, and they can make in real time changes to their technique, okay? Now, as you saw, that was the customer profile. There was a second part to this, though. It's not just enough to understand the customer. We need to go out and run tests. So we need to collect evidence that it really works. Now, a lot of people think that the startup journey is like this, straight line. But actually, in reality, the startup journey looks more like this. Okay, it's a very messy process. And what we need to be doing is running experiments throughout. Okay? Now, in one of the books, Testing Business Ideas, that I shared with you before, there's a library of 44 business experiments that we can run. Some of them are more expensive than others. Some of them are cheaper. What we should be doing in the early stages is running cheaper experiments. And then later on, we do more expensive experiments. You know Tesla, yeah? Great cars. I've driven one before. It's amazing, yeah? How did they sell it in the beginning? Or how did they test the idea in the beginning? What they did was they took a Lotus, right? And they got customer feedback on the Lotus. They also got customer feedback on other competitor products at the time. They got a lot of information then. Then what they did was they did another test later on where they did a pre-sale, number 38. What they said is we're going to pre-sell the original Roadsters, and they called it the 100 Club. They sold 100 Roadsters to 100 people, but people prepaid. Okay, they paid $100,000 each before the cars were even ready. They weren't even ready, and they paid $100,000. It took nearly 2 years for them to get their cars. But the fact that they did the pre-sale meant that they had the money to develop the product. And that was strong evidence. Very strong evidence because they had the money in the bank. Okay? So what we should be doing is trying to pre-sell. That's just one experiment. But we should be trying to pre-sell our ideas early on. So we've got the money in the pocket first, and then we can start building. What do we normally do? We build straight away. We spend years and years building something, and then we go, does anybody want it? And everyone says, no. That's not the approach. We should do a similar approach to Tesla, and it's not expensive. Okay, this is another point just to really make the point clear. So you've got a new idea, you want to get to a successful business. The route is through business experiments, and what we're trying to do over time is reduce risk and uncertainty, okay? And then only slowly increase investment when we've reduced risk and uncertainty. And how do we reduce risk? Through doing the business experiments. Okay, so I want to go to the business model from Sona here. So they had the technology, and the value proposition was a real-time swim coach headset. They were selling to swimmers, and the basic set was $249 transactional revenue, and they sold it through their partners, mainly, although you could buy it on the website as well. Now, what you need to do is an assumptions map like this. Each of the blocks in your business model in the beginning is just a guess. You don't know if it's true, you don't know if it's going to work. So what you need to do is take that information, identify what assumptions are we making, what guesses are we making that we don't have any evidence for. Then map it on here. Is this guess important or less important? Do we have evidence about this guess or no evidence? What's really important then is that we say we're going to focus in this top right-hand quadrant. So something like this would have been what Dimitri and his team saw or identified as a big challenge or a big assumption. That swimmers like hearing their coaches while they're swimming underwater. And then what we would do is use something like this called the test card. So first of all, we say our hypothesis is a testable assumption, right? Swimmers like hearing coaches underwater. The test, 20 customer interviews we're going to do. Metric, number of people that like hearing their coaches underwater. And then the criteria, 50% of people want to hear their coaches while they swim or their instructions while they swim underwater. Okay, this is where we then use the learn card after we've done the experiment. What did they learn? Swimmers don't like hearing the coaches underwater all the time. It's a headache, that's what they said. So we need to pivot to a different customer segment, okay? So we said, the third point here is killing ideas at an early stage. I picked the most strong option, but there are other options here. One option is that we pivot. This is where we make significant changes to one or more building blocks on our business model. Persevere is where we just continue to the next experiment because we're like, it's going well, let's move to the next experiment. Killing the idea is this isn't going to work. We need to kill this early and move on to the next idea. Okay? And this is not a bad thing. Most startups and businesses fail, especially the early stage ones, right? But the entrepreneurs that have been through multiple businesses are more likely to be successful because you learn more from like what not to do. So it's not bad for us to try and do lots of different businesses. What's worse is when we say we've got one business idea and we're going to spend 10 years on it. Well, it just might be the wrong idea. What we need to do is move through ideas and not be afraid to kill them. We need to be not afraid to pivot, and we persevere when it's the right time. Okay, so they pivoted to a different customer segment. This time they said, we're not going to focus on selling to the swimmers. Let's focus on trying to sell to the coaches. Let's understand them. So what they realized from customer interviews was that coaches, the pain that they have is they're shouting all day. Like, you know, if you go to the swimming pool while someone's getting a swimming lesson, rah, they're talking, they're shouting. Their voice at the end of the day is strained, okay? And they have to wait to give feedback as well. They have to wait until the person's got to the end of there. They've forgotten, the swimmer's forgotten. It's not a good way of giving feedback. So they added the swimmer as a customer segment. Now, there was a challenge here, though, because they realized in the business model, if I go back a second, that even though this was successful and it's still a business that they're continuing with, they are persevering with it, they realized that there aren't enough coaches in the world for like Olympic athletes to use this. So it can still be a good business, but they want it to be $1 billion business. And it's not going to be that because the market's just not big enough. So they said, we'll continue with it, but it's not achieving our goals as a business. So they said, we'll persevere with it, but we're also simultaneously going to pivot. Okay? So they pivoted to more general long, like swimmers that like do long distance swimming. They found that a lot of them lacked motivation. They found sessions long and boring. So they created a new value proposition with the same technology. They said, we're going to create a 100% waterproof music player. It's going to be a bit cheaper, and they're still going to sell it through distributors. They also sell it through Amazon and through their website as well. This now has the potential to be a much bigger business in terms of revenue. The challenge is they have more competitors, but they're optimistic about this one. So hopefully you can see through this process that they were able to pivot, persevere, test their ideas. What my hope is for Moldova is that all the businesses are going to be working like this. If we can teach businesses to think like this, it's going to change, like Moldova is going to be an entrepreneurship hub for the whole of Europe. But it's a process, because the problem is, what do we think innovation is? Building products and technology. What is it in reality? Understanding customers, testing our ideas, not being afraid to kill them if they don't work. So, what I encourage you all to do is right now, if you're working in an existing business, this works as well. Ask yourself, who are we trying to serve? What are their problems they're trying to solve, the jobs they want to work on, the pains that they're struggling with, and the gains? One thing I would add here, because I really want to show you how important this is. One of my clients is the top 5 biggest companies in Europe. Top 5 biggest companies in Europe is one of my clients. Now, how did I get them as a client? I'm an individual, independent coach. How did I get them? Because I hear some people saying, oh, we're small, we're from Moldova, a lot of big companies don't want to work with us. One thing I did to be able to get a major client as my customer is first of all, I sent 300 messages on LinkedIn, to people it's a pharmaceutical company. In pharmaceutical companies, I was aiming for innovation managers and directors of innovation and chief innovation officers. Those are the people that I was aiming for, okay? And what I did was I went on LinkedIn and I created a list of like 300, 400 of them, And then what I did was I sent, using LinkedIn Premium, I sent messages to them saying, I'm creating a new product, a new service, and I think it's really going to help people like you, I just want to jump on a call with you, and I want to ask a few questions so we can create something that's really going to solve your problems. 3 people out of 300 came back and said, yeah, okay, let's jump on a call. One of them was an innovation director at one of the top companies, and all I did was jump on a call, show them this visual, and then as they were talking, I asked them, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your frustrations and your difficulties? But what's your desired outcome? And we mapped it out together. I wrote it down as they were talking on Zoom. And so the person, they could see what I was writing down, and they could actually go, oh, hold on, it's not quite right. It's like this. And they go, okay, great. And then I adapt it. So I had a customer profile for the customer I was trying to work with. And I wasn't trying to sell them anything. I was just really trying to help understand their needs. When you speak to a customer and you ask them really important questions like this, and you listen to them, and then they just talk to you and talk about their problems, they enjoy that. It's like therapy for them. And you've got all the really important information that you need to be able to sell them a solution. At the end of the call, I didn't try to sell though. I just thanked them for their time. I said, look, as we develop it, would you mind if I can share with you what we develop in the future? He said, no problem. 3 months later though, he came back to me before I got back to him, and he said, Nick, actually, we'd like to do some work with you. Can you come in and let's have a conversation about that? And now I've started working with them, okay? So you can build really deep relationships with people when you understand their jobs, pains, and their gains. And I would recommend to all of you that you adopt this approach. Because the problem is, many of you said that you were technology experts and engineers. But to be successful, we actually need to become experts in our customers. Right? We need to ask these questions and become experts. Okay, so these are the questions that I encourage you to ask. Please go ahead and ask them. As I said, I've been Nick Himovic. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan that code there. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Dear Nick, thank you very much for your invitation, and we hope that your expertise will help our companies to develop business in tech industry. Thank you very much, we really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Dragă audiență, noi...
Dear audience, we come back to our technical discussions, and then the next panel will talk about biomedical engineering, and I'd like to invite here on the stage the most important actors in this field, like Mr. Roman Nicu, the director of And we also will have here Mr. Andrei Roman, Senior Project Manager from AROBS Group. We'll also invite here the Dr. Dmitry Chorba from Faculty of Computer Science, Informatics and Microelectronics, Technical University of Moldova. And not least, I want to invite here Mr. Artur Burdujan, Sales Manager from GBG MLD Company. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to discuss about biomedical engineering in this event. We all know that biomedical engineering, or better to say, the colleagues stand behind the most advanced technologies, are those who are directly or indirectly responsible for every human's life. And I'd like to kindly ask the colleagues in the panel to share their experience, their expertise from the company in terms of developing biomedical devices. I'd like to start with Mr. Romanicu, Director from Mechatronics Innovation Center. He will share the experience from his company, and he will tell us about the challenges they face when medical equipment is developed. Okay, it works. My name is Roman Nicu, Technical Director for the Mechatronics Innovation Center. We are a company that provides services for medical equipment development. We are certified according to ISO 485. 13485, sorry. And I think I will take 5 minutes to talk about our company. Well, our mission is to grow by staying on the cutting edge of innovation, to have the most up-to-date state-of-the-art technology. We provide a full product development, starting from project management, requirement engineering. We have different departments like electronics, mechanics, software, embedded software, procurement, prototyping, and till certification like FDA marking in the USA. We were established in 2009. We've had quite a busy, complex history. We were established in 2009 in Iași. In 2018, we came to Iași. We opened a branch here. And I would like to tell you a little bit about our activity in order to avoid talking only in figures. I'd like to tell you about a project that is ongoing in our company for already 5 years, and I think it's 2 more to work on this. Well, first of all, we think about the issue, the problem. What's the pain? Because in medical industry, the question is a direct one. What's the pain and how we can help the patient solve this issue, avoid the pain? Well, one of the serious issues when a patient is not conscious and on mechanical benches is loss of diaphragm dysfunction, where diaphragm has the same muscle tissue like the heart, so if there is no caution in that sense, they would lose the tissue mass. So if in 18 hours the diaphragm is not used, they might lose up to 50% of the diaphragm muscle mass. Well, that's a big issue for the doctors because the patient is in coma, then they need to work to bring the patient to recover, and this would take up to 1 week, the entire procedure. 1 day of intensive care in America, it's $7,000 per patient per week. Well, The brilliant idea was to understand how we can train to work with the patient whilst they are unconscious and to help them not to lose the muscular mass. Everybody has seen the advertising on the electrostimulators that are attached to the tummy, and there's this in six-pack. Well, the idea was to do this in a non-invasive way. The possible solution was to generate a magnetic wave and to induce to the patient the desire to breathe by themselves. Well, we've done this. You can see in the image on the right, two coils on the neck of the patient, two magnetic waves of about 5 Tesla each are generated, and the biggest issue with this device is to synchronize with the breath flow of the patient. Because imagine we do an experiment, we try to exhale, then to inhale. This is not comfortable. Well, we try to do this synchronizing with the breathing of the patient. Basically, it's a simple device. A student might do this in half a year. We're working on this for 5 years, actually, for 4 years. Why? Because we have the following paradigm. What actually happens with the patient if our device does not function correctly? The worst response is that the patient dies. Well, we've been a patient once in our lifetime at least. And at least we've been measured the blood pressure and the temperature taken with some device. Well, imagine that you go to the doctor and we know that this device was not tested under all the circumstances. And it's possible that 1 in a million cases it works not appropriately and you have a consequence in this regard. How would you feel about this? Not very good. Well, that's why we test and again test the devices. We are now at the clinical studies test, and this takes up to 1.5 years, and we need to prove that during this clinical test that this device does not harm the patient. This is an innovative device equipment. This means that the certification or accreditation body do not know how to look at us. Is this a good or a bad option? They just suppose. Well, and in that case, we received the response to our request for certification, a response of 73 pages, all with questions. What happens if? What happens if? And for 1.5 years, we have this communication with the FDA from America to answer to the question, what happens if this happens? Well, yes, but if happens the other situation. So this is a 1.5 year process. That's one of the medical challenges and one of the points that does not allow us to be super innovative, like for example with the cell phones, because in that sector every gadget or every device could be in a half year on the market. In our case, this takes years and years because patient safety and security is important. Risk for the patient should be the lowest. That's all. Thank you very much. Very interesting introduction from my point of view. We will continue with presentation from companies. Next, we invite Mr. Roman, working as a team leader in AROBS group, to come to the presentation. We've said before that AROBS has good experience in automotive sector, but we will see that our colleagues have developed skills in biomedical engineering. And in that sense, we would like to ask Mr. Roman to share their experience in this regard. Good morning. Well, we've mentioned before about our AROBS company. Well, I will talk a little about this. It's a big company, the largest technological company in Bucharest Stock Exchange. We work with companies from all across the world. We are European by birth, intercultural international bike culture. Sorry, we have partners all across the world, different locations, and in order to get to the main element that we call the life sciences, we've previously worked with companies from pharmaceutical sector to help them better process their clinical trials data. We've worked quite a lot with companies developing medical devices. We work also with laboratories to help improve their processes, databases, and so on. But taken into account the specific of the conference and the topic we are addressing, I will talk about medical devices and how did we work together with our clients for the development, what have we done, what we keep doing. But I can tell you that indeed, well, I'll talk not so much in technical terms because my colleagues who talked about the automotive sector covered very well the technical aspects. And our technical details are similar with those, but there are also some differences. For example, our first big collaboration with the medical devices manufacturer was 15 years ago, and they had their product on the market for 15 years. And at that moment, exactly because well, they used tested technologies, proven that this functioned, but the costs to update, to renovate were expensive. They cannot take technology from the market because everything they take from the market should be certified, and which is expensive. So they start to feel uncomfortable with different elements. For example, a processor that works for 20 years, but they do not find the spare pieces or spare parts, or they do not find the other components, or a 20 years old processor could be hacked very well. Not too much to work on the cybersecurity. That moment in time, they didn't know very much about this, but now it's well known. And after they were showed on YouTube in front of the whole world that somebody from the hospital car park could connect to the system in the hospital and order an infusion, they understood that that's not a joke and something had to be done about this. At that moment, we were known for doing embedded operation systems, and they contacted us to install an embedded operation system on our product. They used a simple processor, but we applied a more complex one. We've worked on the UI part, response to inputs, and in that way they managed to extend 10 years more the life of the product, lifespan of the product, and at the same time they kept us to be the suppliers in terms of developing a new generation platform. And I'd like to go to that moment. We work with them we've been working with them for already 6 years, and now they received the approval from FDA. And these devices would be in the hospital, a new type of infusion pumps with touchscreen, which did not exist before. Well, they did this. This works with Linux. It's a 1 gigahertz based system, 1 giga RAM. There's a lot of technology involved, and they wanted to bring as much modern technology as possible in that system because they want to be 20 years more on the market. And to be able to update this remotely, to have everything secured. Now they have separate chips for engines, for interface areas, for communications, and if we talk about trusted area, partitions are encrypted, and so on and so forth. So they looked at all the precaution elements and tried to develop product that is as future-proof as possible. One of the differences compared to automotive, besides the similarities, yes, this is a process, there are risks for the patients that we need to address. There's a lot of testing, and alongside with the development of the product, we develop a lot of tools and softwares. And for example, we have testing tools that need to automatically test the entire system to function overnight to make sure that what we put today on the branch would not disturb products that worked yesterday. But we would imply some more esoteric elements. For example, for translator, we do a simulation of all the screens, all the tests which are sent to an interpreter, translator, so that they can edit visually the text to translate in English, French, or any other languages, and to see live how the screens of the devices will look like. This saves a lot of time for the translator. Otherwise, the alternative was to give the translator a 1,000 pages Excel sheet to get the translation and to see, for example, that text exceeds in format or length, because English is a brief language, but in other languages we might exceed, go beyond all the limits, all the squares or the limits. So we managed to have a good flow of the work with the translators, and we also managed to help them install their own large language model server, because given that we don't have the same standards as in automotive, they all believe that they have secret service-related secrets, and they don't want to have this connected with ChatGPT, for example. So in that moment, we helped to install their own internal servers that would work with ChatGPT, with a lot of related apps. Verification modules for an engineer to do the review. They will be able to watch what the realization the results are, but they could not avoid the simple errors. And in that sense, we might give the solution to let you look at them. And there's many other issues. We talk about documents in the medical sector. That's a lot of, it's complicated, it's complex, and it's quite difficult to find relevant documents. We use tried and tested technology, but at the same time, I can see a lot of benefits of the innovation that's used here. We also work with another company, quite an important project, to do automated system for detection systems. I could not give you a name. Maybe you've heard about them because they've recently introduced a device quite recently in the pandemic period to detect COVID virus at home, basically. And another large company switched to big lab equipment where they use some transparent vessels and some cams. They would look at the cells of the patient in order to identify the virus. Well, these are approved elements. but I could tell you more about the infusion-related devices where I work directly on the development. We also have mobile apps in the sector. I really hope I was quite brief, but I really hope also that I've raised your interest. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrei, for presenting AROBS company and for presenting the activity in terms of biomedical engineering. Next, I want to invite the academia to present. We'll have Dr. Chorba from Faculty of Computer Science, Informatics and Microelectronics from Technical University. We know that university is an important pillar in this technical field, and our university is the only one educating future employees in this sector. I'd like to ask you, what are the updates in this sector and what should we do in order to make biomedical engineering more popular in this sector? Thank you very much. We do a lot of presentation during the year, so I will try to be quite brief and specific. Yes, that's true that Technical University in Moldova is the only institution in Moldova, higher education institution, where we have this specialization as academic program, which is accredited, certified. We have all the documents in place for the biomedical engineering. The director from Megatronics Center said that innovation in biomedical engineering are hardly put in implementation. But that's true because when we think about innovation, these are some improvising elements related to some specific issues. And before going to the engineering stage, there are some other steps. So I think it's natural for this to be a process that's educated, that is developed in the young generation, because quite often if the improvisations are not tested continuously, these are punishable. They might lead to serious consequences, even this might kill. We've talked about this element from or cross-disciplinary perspective. We have several components involved. I would not say that that's a dual component, but we have this component covered also by the university, Medical University from Moldova. We have one lecturer, one professor from university that professors that run those medical institutes, and they bring those innovations for our biomedical engineers. That's indeed a program that is more and more requested from the market. I think we have 20 more actors going on the market, 20 more positions going on the market. The question is that these people, there's qualified staff is enough, or we need to increase slightly the number. We have two faculties which are more or less related to this sector, the digital sector. I will not say ICT because we have also the electronics components. We have electronics and telecoms. We have Madam Sava here, and we have a total of 3,500 students. We have also software-related decisions in this sector, and which is the most popular now. All the presentations I've seen so far are actually taught in the traditional sector related to calculations, water for agile, everything we learn in the traditional sector. But there are some elements we don't have, and we are ready to take this over, and the market is ready to absorb this. This culture of switching to the embedded sector should be slightly and step by step not included, taken over, because if we focus on electronics and bioengineering, we will suffer on software development. There is still room for improvement. The main issue is to attract the people and to maintain them, because despite all the elements, the components we have, not all the people that we have, they slightly change their path and focus on software more than biomedical engineering. Again, we don't need separate approval from the ministry. We are not limited in this sense. We have, in terms of content, flexibility to change the laboratory topics or specializations, but maybe we might also have some boot camps to test for 2-3 days to understand if young people react to such technologies, and boot camps of a few months to understand if it works for long term in such a format. We have such experience, and we have companies that give such trainings. Our teachers are trained in order to be able to deliver these trainings. Next, in the future, we will support biomedical engineering as a program, because we want it to be an education academic program that has also master's and PhD degree, to have the full cycle. But we would like also to be as relevant as possible for the market. And in this context, I want to thank everybody, the panelists, those in the room, for being here and for helping us. Thank you very much, Mr. Ciorba, for giving this speech, and we are grateful for the support of Technical University in the development of bioengineering sector in Moldova. And now we invite Mr. Artur Burdujan to talk about the activity of the company he is working in, GBG MLD. Hope I pronounce it correctly. And I would like to ask him kindly to tell about the strategic aspects in its field.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. We are GBG MLD SRL. We are a distributor for medical equipment from lab, angiographs, resonance, CTs, USG, and so on. In terms of studies, I will start by saying that I was a student sometime, and talking to the students that are employed in our company. So we see the same issues, or maybe the issues is not the best word. In university, we are taught that we are prepared for the job. Actually, it's just a bit from what for the rest of 69%, we need a lifetime to study in order to become high-ranking bioengineer. And 1% we have for the errors that we have throughout our life or while we are studying as engineers. And I would like to address or speak to the students who are now studying this area or would like to study bioengineering. And they are saying we don't learn so much about microelectronics, about bioengineering, or about anatomy with applications in bioelectronics. We have a lot of classes such as higher mathematics. Why do we need all these courses if in practice nobody will ask who was a certain philosopher? This is needed so that the students have an analytical thinking. Without analytical thinking, we cannot call ourselves engineers. We shouldn't only be present in two areas. We need to think analytically and look at problems from different angles. Because in most cases, the engineer from the hospital or from the private sector and is discussing with a doctor saying that the device is not working. When you are just listening to the sounds, you need to figure out how to help them with the device so that in the end we save another patient, another life. This is why I urge you to continue studying. Do it all the time. It doesn't matter what you need to study. If it's required to study philosophy, do it, because the analytical thinking is the only tool that the engineer has, and this is what determines how good the person will be in their job. And one of the drawbacks after finishing our studies is that we don't know how to behave in our first job interview. We don't know how to introduce ourselves. We don't know how to present what we can do in practice, because we have the theoretical knowledge from university, but we don't know how to explain to that doctor, to that employer, how can we solve a certain problem so that they understand, so that this is not Chinese for them. Because most of the times when you go to an intervention as an engineer, it happens that people tell you about the problem, you start discussing about microengineering, and when you say that you need to change safety on a plate, in the end you have a device that cannot be considered safe for the patient. That's why it's very complicated, and it takes a lot of time for an engineer to be trained by us, those who have already been through this, so that the person discusses in an appropriate manner with the client, so that they don't think that the device that you have fixed is not safe. Where can we get employed? There are two important parts. You can work in the private sector as a specialized engineer. This means that you are an engineer or a creator of a device, if this is possible. If not, you are a specialized engineer. This means that you are in a private institution that specializes you in a certain field, such as radiology, depending on the profile of the company. Or you become an engineer in a hospital. In a hospital, there are many devices, there's a lot to learn, but you don't have that intellectual growth aspect. You have a device, and if you can fix it, then it's okay. If not, you send it to the repair center. And you don't grow a lot, you don't learn many things related to engineering. There are single-use consumables. You need to purchase them annually. Lately, this is done by the engineer and not by the nurses or the head of unit. This is done by the engineers. And there's a lot related to prices, procurement. This is something that the engineer does, and not the part of the institution that it relates to finances. So you need to persevere, you need to show interest. It's complicated, and you depend on the local market. If you want to be an engineer in linear accelerators, let's be realistic. How many do we have on our market? If there's 2 of them, you don't have any chances to become a specialist. So you can be an engineer, the person that just calls and explains the problem of the doctor to the specialist. If after a while working as an engineer, you start having fears because you are in the ICU unit, or you are repairing a device and then the patient dies, many people lose interest. They consider this is not normal. They are not prepared for such situations, and they leave the field for good. They have good chances of getting a job in a different area because you have the possibility to become an engineer in electronic plates, in board plate. They can become engineers, designers, for example, for the design of the ICU, how the communication should be laid out. So we have engineers that have crossed to this domain. Some engineers go to the app, so application domain. They teach the doctors how to use properly the medical devices. So they mostly study anatomy, the medical application part, and they are together with the doctor and the patients all the time. And this is welcome now. We don't have that many such specialists in Moldova. Many doctors don't want to switch from being doctors to being such engineers. Some can go to the part of microelectronics engineering. For those who want to switch from bioengineering to IT engineering, the market is large because we have what is related to the flow of data, flow of patient, where the data is stored, and so on. There's not that many that much software. There are not many specialists that can use such software. So there were a lot of attempts to create new software, but the issue is the same. The volume of data is very high, so there's a need for servers and a lot of resources for IT engineers so that it is comfortable for the patients, for the doctors, and so on, so that they can understand when the last lab tests were done, and so on. Thank you for your intervention that covered a wide range of topics. You somehow told us where specialists in medical engineering could work, but I would like to ask a question on the new technologies and more exactly on the integration of AI in existing medical systems. I would like to ask what are the challenges for integrating AI in modern biomedical devices. Mr. Roman, Mr. Nico. This is indeed one of the great challenges we are facing today, because the first question in healthcare is what happens if my device is not working properly. Let's imagine that we have AI that reads an image and tells us that there's a probability that the patient has a tumor. We have taught the AI and so on. We do an CT or an MRI, and the AI says the patient has a brain tumor. We open the brain, we see that there's no tumor. The question is, how would you feel as a patient if this happened? What are the risks? Of course, the patient could die because any brain surgery is risky. And then we have the question, how do I, as a developer, guarantee that the AI indeed minimizes the risks? Indeed, the AI does whatever they want. I taught the AI something, then they learn by themselves and gives suggestions. How do I guarantee that the AI stays stable throughout the life cycle of my product? we could ask AI to create an algorithm. Then we have a part of static code that is not taught, and you can test it traditionally. And the AI is just a tool. And this is okay as a temporary solution, but still the question is, how do we guarantee the stability of AI? We don't know. There's a series of draft laws, not only in the medical field, but in general in the European legislation, but this is the initial phase, and it is not mandatory. And this is a problem that is consistent because we are offering consultancy to startups, and we have several requests from startups that took AI, taught it to analyze different data sets, and now they come to us and ask, how do we certify it? How do we turn an interesting product into a medical one? And the question is an open one. Thank you, Mr. Roman. Mr. Andrei. Yes, this is correct. What I could add from our experience with our customers is something that I mentioned earlier in my presentation. They are interested in using AI. They are trying to use it isolated from the rest of the market because they don't want their prompts and conversation to become part of the conversations of the whole world. It would help them with bureaucracy and paperwork, but everything that AI does should be checked. They have a culture of checking the work of a human, and the same idea should be used for checking the outputs of AI. I think this is the approach so far. Of course, it wouldn't be bad if we had a legal framework for this, but until then, we should have experiments also. Mr. Dean, I would like to thank Arthur and for the fact that he said we are only preparing people at 30% for the labor market. People say usually that we don't prepare them at all. And I would like to thank GBG for the fact that they stand by us. We cannot guarantee that you will have 100% preparedness. Not even you won't be prepared 100% even after you work 5 years in a company. Next year, the technical university will change the education plans. And there's something that we cannot do. If for software we can do digital modeling, even in the cloud, the part related to medical bioengineering is very costly. And the engineering training has been underfinanced. We are very happy that you have this equipment that you are promoting, and maybe the students will not think about moving to pushing buttons on the screen, as we say. Regarding AI, I'm sure it will be regulated, especially in healthcare, because there we have the Ethics Commission, and if you have a PhD thesis that doesn't go past the Ethics Commission, it will not be accepted. We have already theses that analyze images with lung diseases, and it was very simple to determine. This is something that I didn't know. It is easy to determine based on images if this is caused by a virus or a bacteria. It figures out that it leaves different scars. So this is a simple solution. Analyze images. Or train a machine, you teach it and it takes different aspects. The task of the student came from an employer in imagery, and this was during the COVID period when they had to analyze a large number of images. So this should come from bottom up in terms of regulations. In the university, we consider that this area is like cybersecurity. This is a cross-cutting component. We have a cross-cutting course in cybersecurity and a course in AI that is for everyone. So this way we can guide people, but in the end, the doctor is the one taking the decision, regardless how advanced the technology is or the AI. Mr. Burdojanu, regarding AI, as I am specialized in ultrasonography, AI from what I remember, AI was introduced in England in an X-ray imagery lab. The difference from the doctor that analyzes this, so the error rate is less than for a person that has a 20% error rate for the same images. The AI coming to healthcare in ultrasonography is meant to help the doctor, not create problems. So, for example, we have an investigation for the thyroid, and we move the device for a different organ. We have different color maps in order to have a better resolution for the blood vessels. This does not create problems for the doctor. It helps the doctor to use the device easier and to have a response for the patient that comes faster. Also, the AI helps with automatic measurements. This is something that the doctor doesn't accept that easily, because the doctor would like to have this automatic measurements, but this would involve that the doctor says when it has to stop and how to do the calculation. The doctor is still needed. The doctor will be there to operate the tool, and the doctor needs to allow us to present the product using AI to them. Based on our resources in ultrasonography, we have 29 types of automatizations. This is a lot because 2 years ago we only have 2-3 such automatizations. It was for images, for contrast, depth, the type, and it took into account what type of room you are in, if it is obscure, semi-obscure, and so on. This is very important for USG, and this is better for the eye of the doctor, because whether we like it or not, the eyes of the doctors are the parts that are used at maximum. So, indeed, without the human factor, we cannot do anything in society, although we have high technological advance. Dear participants, thank you for the topics. Mr. Andrei, yes, I would like to mention another thing. If you mentioned the fact that we move on from being students to being engineers, and we have faced this issue, combined with the fact that the client wants to hire people with experience, and we in Bucharest, we have for several years an interesting program for students, and this is also interesting for our customer. This is an internship program, and we have final year students. We give them some homework. We see how interested they are in tools. This is not related directly to software for the device, but we can bring students from the software area because this is more applied for tools, and we can see how interested they are. They can see that we're not only talking about embedded, we have a lot of software in the area of medical devices, and at the end of the internship we can select one or two of them to become our colleagues when they get their degree. We have been doing this for 5 years every year, and all engineers that have joined us this way have stayed in the company and have not left it. Thank you very much. We appreciate the contribution of AROBS in the development of the education system. We also have other companies that, together with the university, the technical university, have developed courses for the training of teaching staff. Please applaud our engineers who are making our lives easier and safer when we go to the doctor. And now we will all continue our technical discussions. And today, in the last panel from the Embedded Moldova Conference, we will discuss about different topics related to IoT, smart home, and the industrial application. For this, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Alecu Dragomir, the manager of Orcolia Lux Industrial Automation and Robotics. Now, please give a round of applause. We also invite Andrei Bragarenko, the manager of Microlab Center and lecturer in the Technical University of Moldova. Mr. Bragarenko will join us shortly. Now I would like to invite the manager and founder of ABC Solution, Mr. Iurie Mocanu. We invite Madam Alexandra Maior, CEO Sales, Steinel. And not least, Alexandru Mateescu, Innovative Solutions, also from Steinel. Mr. Bragarenko, please have a seat. Thank you for managing to be here. This panel will be a bit more different. We have a diverse discussion. We will start with Mr. Alecu Dragomir, who will tell us about the activity of their company in terms of industrial robotization. And we invite you, Mr. Dragomir, to tell us shortly what your company is doing so that we understand what industrial robots are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this panel again. Well, in our activity, better to start with introduction. We are all graduates from Technical University, graduated Department of Industrial Automatization. We have such specific department, and it's electromechanics. Now it's called mechatronics. From the times of university, and I've done my master's degree also. got involved in the automotive sector, but in the former Soviet space did not allow industrial automation on a larger scale. So we focused on industrial automation at the international level. So we started with Italy, Germany, China, United States of America, and broad experience. I started in Italy, then I came to Moldova, or we came to Moldova to bring to our co-nationals the expertise, the knowledge that we've acquired. Now let me turn to robots, which are, from my point of view, the highest and the most complicated level of industrial automation. And we talk here about the 4.0 industry, 4.0 industry, which imposes not only the functionality of the system, packing and unpacking, but also it includes some remote controls and other elements. Basically, we from Moldova, we control the robots from USA, California, for example. The 4.0 industry. In the Republic of Moldova, we design the mechanical side with engineers, mechanical engineers. We assemble all the solar panels, and also with our engineers we create PLCs, program logic controllers, and we end with the language of the robot. Finally, we go to a customer facility, we work with a team, and during 1 or 2 weeks the project lasts, we do the activity, and then we come back successful. The industrial certification implementation starts from PLCs, program logic controller implementation, and ending with the robots. For the robotics side, I want to say that there are different complexity levels. Well, look here, we have an image of cardboard palletizing robot. This is not a very complicated application. We have more complex applications where, like conveyor tracking type, we have a series of robots which are synchronized to recognize on a specific production line the orientation of products in order to pack them, biscuit or other topics, other elements to be packed. I didn't put too much text on the screen, just some examples, some videos, in order for you to be able to understand what we are doing from inside Moldova in terms of export. You can see here the robot working with the pizza boxes, cardboard boxes. You know their sizes, their dimensions. In Italy, they are produced on a mass. In a mass production process, they are delivered to pizza shops, and then they are used. So this is one app. Well, that's a relatively simple example. Other different types of cardboard boxes. You can see this conveyor, and all this system is designed in Moldova based on the experience that was acquired abroad. I don't know if we have more time. I'll try to be brief and to let you see another application. As you can see, we have here the final product, which goes for logistical distribution. We have here the robot from California. You know very well that the delivery of equipment and appliances is done in specific cardboard boxes, polystyrol. But in the United States, we promote the idea of packing the product not in plastic package, but in recycled products from recycled material. Everything to be able to be recycled. So our robot is putting, it's packing, is gathering all these boxes together. The robot is wrapping them boxes. So we have a fully automatized line in the cardboard industry. What I wanted to tell you about the complexity of the process. Maybe I will have the pause on the video. You can see here in the video a smart scanner, a Connex product. It's an American product. So this smart camera, is taking photos of the products, and they put them, deploy them for every robot. Every robot has an identified product, and they take the product and put on the line that they need to. So, for example, we can see that the product is coming in a chaotic order, and using such an application, all the objects are targeted for the respective robot. We might have biscuits, we might have other types of products for like air fresheners or other elements. It doesn't matter. Basically, the cam is set up and the connect is connected to the robot. These are some conveyor tracking. Every robot is synchronized with two additional conveyors, and they receive the command from the cam, and they work with the respective product they receive the command for. As an idea, such systems are very complex. They are start for operation, their process to start could take months or years. I don't know if you have something else as videos, but I try to explain you by visual elements how this works, but behind the curtains this is more complex and more complicated. Thank you very much, Mr. Dragomir. Your example to create industrial robots proves once again that the competencies of engineers in Moldova go far much beyond the expectations of the international market. Thank you very much for the effort you put on developing skills that correspond to the needs, requirements on the international markets. Please, could you send the pointer? Next, we invite Mr. Bragorenko to tell us about the talent development in the industrial ecosystem. Mr. Bragorenko is also university lecturer, mentor, and engineer. He has a broad experience in the development of talents in the ecosystems. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really glad to be here with you. I am Andrei Bragarenko, as it was mentioned. And if to talk about my experience, I'm working with Microlab, but I actually represent I've been working, represent several sectors. I've started as a university lecturer at Technical University, but I have a broad experience in automotive sector. And what we are trying to do via the engineering Microlab activities, and based on the activity in the education sector, and also looking at the educational and industrial processes, we are trying to build that bridge between education and industry, because education should help the industry to create the talents for the industry in order for the effort of industry to absorb challenge to be as lowest as possible. Because you can see that currently the industrial facilities have an enrollment process starting from 6 months to more, much more time. Depends how complex the sector is. We've also developed a development microlab environment. We have worked on the curriculum. We take this over and transform in activity training, the equivalent with the curricula, but also outside the curriculum, which are meant to help us develop multifacetedly. You can see here an example of our activity, how we interact in our activity. We have very rich history starting from 2007 when we participated in the continental electromobility competitions. I know there are some colleagues that have worked for Continental or took some experience from there. At least my experience from industry sector starting in 2007 when I first had my master's degree in electronic converters at Gheorghe Sacheniaș. I've displayed the history till 2019, and for the rest, you'll see what comes in the presentation. The sector of automotive gave us an issue, a problem that the students need to solve, and many of the students that were previously my students, I can see now me involved working in the automotive industry, and I think they really would recognize this track on the screen. We had achievements, we had failures, we had some trainings with some embedded schools, but they developed further broader because this didn't work at the moment. So since 2014 till 2021, we had different camps, IoT specifics, automotive, robotics, and my colleagues said that they need specialists in the sense we've switched to that part. We had different hackathons, for example, who would develop a better BCP board, because now it's even harder and harder to find specialists in electronics. We can see currently that our products that our students develop in Moldova have not too much continuity because we do not produce machinery, vehicles or cars, but we produce agro products, agro robots, because they suggest or help us in help us in solving issues at the local level. And in agriculture, yes, we need electric vehicles, we need Internet of Things, we need robots. So why don't we leverage the opportunities we have at home, focus on agriculture and work in this sector? For example, on the screen here, we can see the agriculture. Some representation from the agriculture. We understand that embedded system focus on embedding a smart decisions every day. So we have the agriculture, and we need to include here technologies in the daily activities. That's the perspective of an engineer in terms of agricultural activities. Starting from 2011, we changed our formula from vertical to horizontal. Since 2021, we do different trainings even upon request. We have 4 strategic areas. We have electronic consumer, meaning IoT, Internet of Things, robotics, agro IT, and the autonomous vehicles. Starting from 2021, we've established with technical university space. We have an IT arena where different IT elements become alive using agricultural activities. We have a land where we can land plot, and we can develop, implement, and put in practice our activities. We can use robots, autonomous vehicles, systems for control of parameters, and even drones. As a roadmap for electric vehicles, we propose to work at the beginning with small robots, like a simple robotics club, but in the end, we turned out to have agrobots, golf cart, electric vehicle, with which we test the automotive technologies. And for our roadmap, we'd like to have vehicles for public roads developed, but for the moment we test technologies where it is safer to have them implemented, because on a agricultural land plot it's safer than on the road. For industrial roadmap, we had the 3D robots. So we followed the path that we've intended to take 10 years ago. For IoT roadmap, we started with some embedded system programming that we developed within our microlab club, but now we have the industrial robots. We connect, for example, all the indicators from nursery to or greenhouse to device to control them. We've had a lot of partners, for example, in the recent year, 2 years, we've had a lot of partners with about 200,000 euros, and this made it possible for different equipment to be purchased, because if in IT we have a failure, we do a backspace, but in electronics that's not so much possible. For example, if we install an engine of 200,000 euro and his lifespan is only 5 minutes, for the next lifespan would need 200,000 euro more. That's why we're grateful for the support, and we are looking continuously for partners in order to reach out to those standards for the engineers. Because in order to have engineers focused and working with the advanced technologies, we need to break, to misuse some advanced technologies in order to test the capacity of the industrial technology. Thank you very much, Mr. Bragarenko. I'm really glad that you've mentioned that electronic sector, alongside with being very interesting, it's very expensive for the companies that develop technologies. So now we continue with Mr. Yuri Mocanu from ABC Solution Company, and he will talk about his company's expertise in terms of embedded systems. Hello, my name is Yuri Mocanu, Director of ABC Solutions Company. As you can see, the company is ISO certified in ISO 27000 and ISO 9001. I can tell you that the company is looking at different solutions for different problems. So based on that, I will tell you about our company's activity. The company was established in 2006, but basically we've started to work in information technologies since 2017. The main topics were oil companies and telecommunications banks. The first, I think, was to develop and implement the GPS system online. This system was installed at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and it was for different services within 112 emergency unit. The second was developing and installing smart solutions for LED screens for banks and gas stations. Another solution was for public transportation management and the electronic boards, indicating the waiting time at the bus stations. And next were customized solutions for OTA, DMS, eSIM for telecom operator. These are basically our activities products which are tested and already sold. You can see here the first smart solution and autonomous solution for LED screen management. I will stop basically on how the topological solution looks like, you can see on the screen. But in terms of product or output, we've developed a board. You can see here on the left side, and the case, the frame for this plate for the board. For the screens, you can see the diodes, the lighting elements, and you can see finally how the board looks like that is installed with the bank. So if we look on the left side, we could do a mass production based on one developed board. Everything is standardized, everything is functioning. You can see that this solution is implemented with one of the banks, and it is also implemented together with a gas station. That was basically all from my side. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Mocan. We really appreciate the effort of ABC solution in developing these electronic solutions for gas stations and banks. We really hope that these solutions will be implemented also on other levels, not only in banking sector or gas stations. Now we continue with the colleagues from Steinel company. We'll have Madam Alexandra Mayor, CEO Sales Officer, CEO Sales, and Mr. Alexandru Mateescu, Specialist in Innovative Solutions, Department Steinel. They will talk about automation of buildings, quite topical subject nowadays, and I'd be very curious to find out about the trends of smart buildings in the next future. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for the invitation. We really hope that we'll be able to share with you all the information that we have about the smart building as of today. Let me start by briefly saying about Steinel a few words. Steinel, or how we like to be called, the inventors company. We produce and distribute lighting bulbs, lighting devices to produce hot air tools and hot glue guns. We try to develop products in order to make people's life better. We will try to talk a little bit about our reference points, our milestones. The most important being in 1987 when we've invited the motion sensor source of light. Next, we've invented the high-frequency sensor first sensor in the world, and most recently a sensor that detects real-time presence or absence for elements, and we like to say that we will develop further. Our mother company or parent company is in Germany, and we are really proud to say that all our production is spread all across Europe. One is even in Chișinău and the other in Romania at Curtea de Argeș. And our facilities, our productions are in Brașov and some other locations. We have an approach called Solutions for Tomorrow, meaning that we develop solutions as of today in order to have a brighter future. It means that we focus a lot on the comfort of people, but we do not overlook the sustainability aspect. For example, we want to give the people the possibility to have lower electricity bills and to reduce the carbon footprint, because we have big requirements on the market and we need to comply with these requirements on the market. We like to say that we give solutions, not products. Solutions starting from basic on off, meaning a sensor, lamp, meaning that when you get in the premise, it just turns on when we get in and turns off when we get out. In terms of smart solutions, we've got a little beyond the stage of smart home, lighting control or other components from the home based on the phone. For us, smart buildings is having buildings that feel and react and respond. Currently, almost all of us have a car, the smartest object that we might have, and this reacts, informs us if it rains. For example, the devices react to cleaning the windows, different other elements. We need to have the same thing with the buildings to ensure our comfort. And starting from these ideas, we've developed several solutions. One of these being the one called connected lighting. This involves actually a series of products having a Bluetooth mesh protocol built in, and they communicate between each other. We've received the award for this as being the most sustainable lighting system. Basically, we have a lightning light bulb that has integrated motion sensor system, and for example, and Bluetooth mesh, when installed in a parking, they communicate with via this Bluetooth. We do not need the wire connection. Therefore, costs for implementation are not so high, and the setting of parameters is done with the phone. Well, everybody has currently a phone, and it's easier for us to set up the parameters for a product. By this, we want to reduce the consumption of energy by 95% and also focus on reducing the CO2 emissions at maximum. I will leave my colleague now, Alexandru, to tell you something about the most innovative products that we have in our portfolio. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Steinel
has the widest range of sensors, and it is a pioneer in this area. And we have infrared sensors, high frequency, US sensors, optical sensors, and the newest technology, the one that can detect human presence, even when we breathe and our chest is moving. Steinel has identified this trend of having sensors in integrated systems and has created most sensors for this area. This way, we have the possibility to integrate them into existing networks, power, Internet of Things, and other systems. Our most intelligent sensor is now multi-sensor true presence. It can detect the real presence in a room, temperature, humidity, CO2 level, particles, and so on. And we will launch the smoke sensor also. This sensor is integrated in all BMS systems that we have at the moment. And since we discussed about batteries, for them BMS meant battery management system. For us, it is a building management system. In Frankfurt this year, at the Light and Building Fair, we have launched another infrared sensor. And this, together with artificial intelligence we are using currently, helped us identify the human silhouette, and it can identify the persons in a room. It can track where they are moving and create different areas where it identifies movement. Also, this person counting technology, we can see where we can have constant lighting, we can see the CO2 level, the noise level, and so on. Also, this year we have launched a software capstone that somehow closes this cycle, and we could make the connection between sensors and software. And thanks to this software, we can read data transmitted by our sensors in one interface. In Romania, we have started very interesting projects in the area of education. The first intelligent school in Romania has used our sensors, and they control the level of light, offering constant light throughout the day. Based on the presence, they control the level of heat and ventilation in the room. This is what a dashboard of the KNX system where the sensors were integrated looks like. It can be controlled remotely, and we can see the CO2 level, the temperature, we can control the level of light, and we can see when someone is present in a room or not. This is a reference building for us. It was built according to the NZEM standards, and it has the lowest consumption of kilowatt per square meter per year that we have seen so far, 26.6. Most of the buildings nowadays consume more than 150 kilowatts, and this is a reference point for sustainability. And with the help of our sensors, this building can turn on the light when a person is in a building only. It can increase or decrease the level of light in a building. It can control the temperature, and it can start the ventilation when the level of CO2 is high. This was all from our part. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the interactive presentation. I would like to applaud everyone present in this panel. Let's thank them with a round of applause. This is our last panel from the Embedded Moldova Conference, and I would like to thank you for your time, for your expertise, and for the professionalism. I would like to thank everyone present today, and we will continue with the last intervention in the Embedded Moldova Conference. And I would like to invite Mr. Gheorghe Girjev, the manager of BSW Tech, who will have a short presentation about an activity that will be launched at a wide scale by its company. We had an engineer crisis in 2002 or 2022. It was difficult to find employees, so we thought about implementing a teaching program so that it is easy to take students and offer them jobs in this area. We are using a C program. This is related to modularity. We use embedded. We learn everything related to PVM, ADC protocols. Then we put it all together in what we call Aurora game. This is something like this. They print it by themselves and use the soldering gun to glue it together. And let's say that the student is certified and they need to write their own game. Why? After they do this, they can be sure that they will pass a technical interview for the client. They know what embedded is, what C programming is, and so on. We also had a book and our boards. Because when our students used to come to us, they would take the boards home, the wires would break, and we thought to have a developer board. We had a chip put there, a display, sensors like PT70 and IMU sensors, so that they are able to have different practical problems where they communicate with the periphery. Then we had the kit with a book and a user guide. We will sell such guides We'll have a QR code leading you to an account, and there are many problems asking how do you do this, and what should the code look like. We want our students to be involved in real projects, and this smart home system was developed by the students from embedded school. Our latest board is dedicated for the Technical University College and for the Center of Excellence. We, AGEM, with the support of GIZ, will equip 2 colleges with these leaflets and our boards. These are 2 students that are already working for BSW after having graduated from this training. I mentioned that we will be implementing this in colleges. This is all. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gheorghe, for the contribution to the education system. Dear guests, thank you very much for your patience, for your attitude, and for your presence to the first edition of Embedded Moldova Conference. We hope that this event will be a good experience, a good platform to share knowledge in the area of integrated systems in the future. We'd like to thank, on behalf of the organizers, on behalf of ACEM, GIZ Moldova Investment Agency, and we invite you to stay for the 6th edition of the Career Fair, where we'll have a set of events for students and not only. Thank you, and
fiecare conectare aduce noi oportunități. Electronica este inima tehnologiei, pulsul schimbărilor din viața noastră. Mai mult de 210 companii din industria electronică din Republica Moldova dezvoltă elemente hardware și software, creează sisteme incorporate, proiectează și produc componente și dispozitive electronice, stăpânesc producția de electronică și microelectronică, nanosenzori, cât și alte tehnologii inovatoare. 6 instituții de învățământ din țară instruiesc astăzi specialiști, tehnicieni, ingineri și cercetători în domeniul electronicii care mâine vor schimba lumea. Electronica. Creăm împreună viitorul.